quiet for a minute, I've been grinding, still in it, I've been counting these digits. Excuse me, I know I've been quiet for a minute, but I'm back on my business. If you see me, don't trip, just excuse me. Wrong if I do, wrong if I don't. That's why I do me no matter what, so excuse me. Lie if I do, lie if I don't. The proof is in the story, take a seat and excuse me. The crash came when the cash came. Spend it before you get it like those rookies all on draft day. For the love like it's match game. Hit the ground running, really do it for my last name. They act different when the facts change. I'm not with the tip for tag games. In my own league, I don't chase game. In my own league, I don't hang with lanes. I know I've been quiet for a minute, I've been grinding, still in it, I've been counting these digits. Excuse me, I know I've been quiet for a minute, but I'm back on my business. If you see me, don't trip, just excuse me. Wrong if I do, wrong if I don't. That's why I do me no matter what, so excuse me. Lie if I do, lie if I don't. The proof is in the story, take a seat and excuse me. Now how could that be? Talking about who can be talking about me. Feeling like Stretch where I got all this reach. Feeling too blessed when I step on these beats.
Get your ass in here. Get your ass. Y'all know what time it is. How many of y'all done spanked y'all kid or got a spanking when y'all was little?
Hey, man. Corporal punishment was big in the old school days. You already know you got whipped from everything from a switch off the tree, and you better not pick one that's going to break, to a cutting board they used to slice bread with.
Boy, we had it. We had it. And today we're going to talk about it. We want to know the psychology of getting your butt whooped.
Not the
Is it something you should do? And so we're going to go over a few things. We're going to go over the pros and cons of spanking that butt. And so, some of the pros, and I want to talk to the therapist about this, is they say, look, it's immediate behavior correction. When you spank, it stops quickly at that moment. It shows clear consequences. Physical punishment, that feel more real than just talking to them. Also, the black people, maybe we got some cultural beliefs that we kind of do it a little bit different. We don't believe in time out. We believe in time in. You know what they say, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Right.
And as we say, look, I was spanked, Georgia spanked, Ronan spanked, and we turned out okay. That's the good.
I was getting hit for my brother's mistakes. What you mean? He called us both in the room.
But here go the cons. This is what they're saying. Spanking them, that just leads to some aggression and fear. It teaches your child to be feared. And, it teaches them how to handle conflict by hitting other people. It says you can break the trust with your kids. Oh, I don't believe that now. Long-term behavior improvement. It also says link to health, mental health issues. Now that's kind of weird because my mom said she was going to beat some sense into me, not out of me. So, I don't understand this. We're also going to talk about some cultural difference, whether it's, the black community, the white community, religious, how immigrants feel about it, generational differences. So how Generation X feels compared to millennials and Generation Z.
Right.
Also want to talk about this thing called gentle parenting. And gentle parenting is an approach where you raise your children to be focused on empathy and respect and understanding about boundaries without using shame and fear or physical punishment. It's about teaching and not punishing.
How's that working out?
I don't know. We're going to figure that out. So how y'all doing tonight? I know y'all are in line. So first, let's talk about some of the times y'all got y'all butt spanked that y'all do remember.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I've had some legendary ass whoopings. But go ahead, Georgia. Ladies first.
I mean, seriously. I think then the last one I got, I want to say it wasn't a beating. It was. I was probably 14, and my brother was getting on my nerves, and he was asking me for this book. He didn't even want the book. He didn't want the book until I put my hands on the book. Now, mind you, we're only a year and a half apart, so it's not like I'm dealing with a 5-year-old. So my mother told me to give him the book back. So I tossed the book at him, and then I took my shoe off, and I have never hit a target in a day in my life.
She said she used the force that day.
And flung it and busted him in his lip.
Mm.
I mean, I was shocked and I was horrified and I was scared all at the same time. My mother beat my behind. We had a whole house full of company. I got beat at 14. And that was the last one.
Mm.
I used to think the rear view mirror in the car was just aiming session, because you could see the mom look and she see you and somehow she could direct the pop just by looking. They had to even look, it was just like, huh? I told you to shut up, but just from the backside.
Yes, every time.
But back then, it was good, because my mama said a kid's supposed to stay in a kid's place. I only over talking, none of that. You don't get in nobody's business. These little kids today, they hear adults talking and they get in it. You did not do that. Child stay in a child's place. Bam. And it was that. And so maybe it was fear. Is there anything wrong with having fear of your parents? That would be my first question.
No.
Is it fear or fearful respect for the fact that they're going to correct you and hold you accountable? There's a difference. You're going to get in trouble because you did something that you need to be held accountable for. Meaning, here's the thing. As a child, you teach a child right and wrong. As they grow up, they decide on their own when they choose that they want to do right and when they do wrong. And when they do it, they sneak to do it. So that means you did it intentionally knowing it was already wrong.
Right.
So now when you hear the voice in the background or whatever, that's where you get that chill up your spine. You already know, damn, I've been caught. So you understood as a child what right and wrong was. When you chose to do it, you were man enough or woman enough to do it. Now you're going to be held accountable by that parent. And that's what you feared. You feared the accountability of your action when you knew you shouldn't have done it in the first place.
So how you feel about that? Now, I'm not talking about, I know people say the beating and, things like that. That's not what I'm talking about.
There was some beating.
I have been beat. I've been beat. I resented that. But I'll show this video and in my opinion, there comes a point when the talking just doesn't do it anymore. There has to be backed up with something. So let's see. Is the best advertisement for a belt that I've ever seen.
Wait a minute. I got one for you too.
But listen, he said, I hate you, you stupid bitch.
Oh no, I got a child saying I'm gonna cut you into pieces. And he's in a psychologist's room. Let me play it. This is them trying to correct him without whipping him.
Stop yelling.
No, I can't.
He'll stop if you stay calm.
No.
Stay calm.
Please.
Stay calm.
I can't. Mom, please. Mom, hold my hand. Please. Stop him.
It's a power struggle. He wants power. He's used to having power.
Keep breathing like that and keep a calm voice, and I will have him remove his hands.
No.
He was given clear behavioral expectations that he just needed to calm down and breathe carefully and not scream or yell or cry.
Please.
Oh, much better. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. Okay, Brian, can you please loosen your grip a little bit? Okay. Once he was doing so, he was able to be released. So sorry. Good. Hey, wait.
Get him up. Get him away from me.
Okay, I need you to stay in one
Get
spot.
away from me.
Oh, he ain't done yet.
You need
Wait.
to calm down. Let's fix it. What can we do?
Let go of me now.
Okay, so are you gonna stay here for a second and calm down? Good breathing.
I'm gonna kill you all. First, I'm gonna grab a cloth. I'm gonna tie it around his throat. Then, I'm gonna grab a bag, suffocate him. Then, when he's dead, I'm gonna cut up every part of his body into inch-sized pieces.
So I'll be putting
and
this
then
on
I'll
extinction,
roast
which
them
means
in
I'm
a
not gonna
fire
give it
and
attention.
Eat them.
Are you feeling more calm? I just want to be here for you.
Kill you. I'm gonna kill you. Get off me. Don't touch me.
I'm sorry, you kicked me. You're being touched again. You're not being safe. he did pop off each and every single one of nails that I have on my hand. This did result in some minor injuries, but this is nothing that's unfamiliar to me, and it was something that I didn't attend to at all because I was trying to show him that it's not something that scares me or.
Okay, that was enough.
First of all, as much as a black woman paid for her nails, if he popped them nails off, she like, you know how much these acrylics cost in this
are you paid to be abused by your patients?
No.
Why would she let him snap off her nails?
So I will say that, yes, that is, so ABA therapy, I don't know if you guys know, applied behavioral, that's not what it is. ABA therapy, I'm trying to think of what the words are for that. But it's a type of therapy for behavioral interventions. And unfortunately, I've seen something similar to this. So it does happen with ABA therapists. So it's not uncommon. So there's two things that are going on with this child. Either the child has got some type of mental health issue, because we don't know the background. We just saw the video. Or this behavior was allowed early on and allowed to continue. And now this boy is a big boy and they're trying to control this big child. So there's two things going on. So I'm always very careful when I see things like this because we don't know the backstory. So also, if this child was abused in some way, physically abused or emotionally abused, there's another dynamic there. So there could be three different reasons as to why this child is acting out like this.
I mean, he was very detailed on how he was planning on deleting.
Which leads me to believe there's a mental health issue when it goes to that point.
I mean, down to a bag to choke you out.
Yeah. That was thought out.
Yes, very.
Yeah.
I guess it seems to me that, I don't know. I guess I would have taken the ass whooping first, and then we could have talked about it. I mean, we could have discussed it because all right. Sometimes you need to do, the kids don't listen. And here's what they're doing. Hey, how you doing? Let's calm down. Let's calm down. Let's just talk about it. Sometimes that don't work. I'm going to play this other little quick video. Just how you sometimes have to snap and get them, snatch them up.
Like people numbers. It's hot on the bottom. Don't drop it. Not all the time. It's hot on the bottom. It's hot on the bottom.
The gentle time, the two just talking casual didn't work. Hey, it's hot on the bottom. Don't drop it. It's hot on the bottom. Don't drop it. It's like they don't kick in until you get there. And it's like almost with a kid. Somebody, you ever see the movies when they're arguing or something and the guy goes, snap out of it. He slaps him across the face. It's almost like you had to just take him to another level and say, look, we're going to prepare for this. And now we can do it. I could be wrong. And maybe the gentle parenting is correct. And I'm welcome to say what's going on. But I just see today, there's some kids that need their butt whooped. Or maybe by the time I see him, it's actually probably too late. That they should have had that when they was 2 and 3 years old and nobody did it. And I don't want to compare children to dogs. But you remember the Pressing Canario I had, the big dog I had? I could walk with him, no chain. I could let him outside the front yard. He's 135 pounds, looking like a big pit. But since he was little, we already had that control. It's like the elephant that you put on the chain. And when it grows up, it still thinks it can't break it. So with children, if you instill that in them and say, hey, there's a punishment or something behind it, you don't have to do it when they're older.
Correct.
So
that's how I raised my sons. I told you guys that story.
But I'm curious because you're the therapist. And, Ronan's probably going to find some things where the therapists are on there saying, time out, gentle parenting. Kids are just little people. You got to discuss it.
Why are you putting that on me, bro?
No, you said you got some videos that show that.
I got some videos on the law and whether you can whoop ass or not.
And you can. Below the belt, no marks.
So what? Yeah, I mean, we'll get there. So psychologically, since this is what we always want to talk about, this is therapy session. What psychological damage does it do whooping a kid? Does it make them more aggressive? Does it make them live in this fear?
So there are some therapists out there that will say, yes, it makes them more aggressive. Okay. However, I am a therapist who it's all in context. You know, if a child is being spanked for every little thing that is done, every time they turn or blink the wrong way,
paranoia, trauma, and all these other things start coming up.
Yeah. So if the child is, and so at this point, the child is being abused because the child is not being spanked out of being disciplined. The child is being spanked because the parent is angry, and this is how they are choosing to deal with it. So
it sounds like you're going along the study that I have pulled out. Let me play this real quick. I want you to finish your thought.
So I just learned about the Harvard study about spanking our children and what impact it actually has on our kids. So I was spanked as a kid. And a lot of us feel like, spanking is just a natural part of either a cultural or generational way of raising kids and disciplining them. But Harvard recently did a study where they followed children who were spanked at least once a week, not to the point where the spanking left bruises or marks, so it wouldn't, qualify as abuse. But they just followed just kids that were spanked, and then they scanned their brains when they were between 19 and 20 years old. And what they found was that on average, that those young adults, the ones that were spanked versus the ones that weren't, had a 30% reduction in gray matter in their brains. 30% reduction just by being spanked. What they also found by flashing images of aggressive looking faces is that the same parts lit up in the brains of those kids that were spanked as those that had experienced severe physical or sexual trauma or abuse as children as well. So basically, what the study's telling us is that even though we think that spanking a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old is just part of helping to discipline a child or helping to correct their behavior, it is the equivalent of extreme abuse to our children, which is news to me because, like I said, I was spanked as a kid. So, yeah, the more you know.
Facts are deep fake. I don't believe half of what he said.
I don't believe that at all. It is not extreme abuse at all. Spanking a child when the child is misbehaving and you have verbalized several times, don't do this, stop it, quit. I've asked you to do this. This is why you'll get hurt. You get to a point where they need to understand the immediate consequence of I've told you to stop it and this is what's now happened. So popping a child after you have explained several times, don't touch the stove, don't touch the stove. I told you not to touch the stove. And so now the child needs to be popped the next time they have touched the stove because they're not connecting. Gentle parenting is not letting that child know you can't touch the stove. It's the same for kids who want to go around sticking stuff in the outlet. Don't stick it in the outlet. Don't stick it in the outlet. At some point, they need to understand that immediate consequence of, I can't do this because I'm going to get popped.
Mm-hmm.
There's times where you don't need to let the child see what's going to happen. Being electrocuted is one of those times.
What about this? Because I see this. I'll see, and I don't know if this causes psychological damage. I'll see a little baby who, is about to eat. It won't eat. And so the mom, instead of the mom goes to the dad and then slaps the dad. And then he's like, oh. And so the baby looks like, oh, hell no. It eats. So is that bad? Because now you're not actually physically, tell me why. Because you're not physically hurting the child, but you are putting something in its mind to say, this could be the consequence.
So the many twisted levels of this is now you're teaching your child that you are now hitting your husband because he's not doing something.
All right.
So you've now turned something that needs to be to which you're thinking is a learning opportunity to, oh, mom puts her hands on dad when he doesn't eat his food. Like, make it make sense. So I've seen several of these videos where the child they take a baby doll and beat the hell out of the baby doll to get the child to eat. Really? So no, the child.
I mean, it worked. I'm just looking at the.
Because
I'm not saying it's psychological. I'm just saying
traumatize the child now.
Yeah.
You traumatize the child because you have beat the hell. You didn't spank the child. You didn't tap that child on the behind. You have beat the stuffing out of this doll, and now you're trying to figure out, that my kid will eat. Well, because the kid is now terrified now because you beat the doll. The doll's dead. You killed their doll. So when I see things like that, you're going to the extreme.
Okay. All right. I mean, I agree. I'm just asking the questions. I don't know.
Yes, I used to see those videos a lot during the pandemic, and I was like, "Wow, this is not okay."
Mm-hmm.
I do think this, and then we'll read Darnell. I do think what a lot of us grew up with was just anger with the belt, meaning mom came home mad, and she's going to take that anger out on everybody in the house. Everybody going to sit down, shut up. So it was not discipline really for something they was going to do. It was just anger with a belt.
But that's abuse. That's what I'm talking about. There's a difference. Okay. So you getting your mom coming home from work. I'm going to use my mother. My mother coming home from work, and she has told us before she gets home from work, the house needs to be cleaned. We need to have everything done. Somebody needs to be making dinner. Okay. My mother walks in the house from working a 9-10 hour day, and the house is not clean. We were warned. She told us what was going to happen.
That's the word right there. Warned.
That is not abuse. And so we got warnings. My mother never just hit us and we didn't know why. We knew every single time we got beat why we got beat.
She didn't come up and ninja abuse you? Slap you out?
No. Sure, there's times my mother was frustrated when she was beating us, but it wasn't. We weren't getting spanked because she was frustrated. We were getting spanked because she told us to do something. Now the spanking probably lasts a little bit longer on her bad days.
Right.
Okay. However, I was never spanked without. It was always warranted every single time.
So was there ever a time that you think it was, you saying every single time it was warranted? You ever think, okay, let's say you. What about your brother and your sisters?
I'm
going to say this real quick. I got some ass whoopings I did not deserve because of my brother.
Okay.
Because of my brother.
Oh, well, yeah.
I got guilty by association ass whoopings.
Okay, so yes.
So let's not go there because I know
I'm saying in the sense
I caught a few I did not deserve.
But you're asking if my siblings received some that they did?
Yeah, like you say, all right, she got me because I did wrong. But then you look at your brother and your other sibling, like, damn,
did your brother catch one because he didn't tell on you?
He got me for no reason, or the punishment didn't fit the crime.
Yeah, no. The punishment always. Yeah, so we were all treated my mother was different. We were all parented very differently, but I think if I went back to each of my siblings and said, did you ever receive okay, let me clarify this. So I have a sibling that caught beatings because another sibling would lie. And so my mother my mother was spanking her because she truly thought she did it, but she didn't. Man. So yes, so there were times that the siblings caught it and they shouldn't have, but it was because of a lie.
I don't catch no not guilty beatings. Oh hell no.
Yeah, that part is that part.
My brother, did you ever you got siblings that used to blackmail you? I'm gonna tell mama if you don't do this, do my chores or whatever. I know y'all had one sibling that would blackmail you to tell on you if they caught you doing something wrong. To get over, you had to do something for them, or they would just go ahead and drop that fact.
So I so I have a sibling that, for all intents and purposes, I'm fearful of because she's crazy. So I try. So she, yeah.
Yeah,
So there,
I'm the crazy one. It was just me and my brother. I was more
oh,
crazy than him, and he's older.
there's 5 of us by my mom. So, yeah. So there were things that transpired with that sibling they probably shouldn't have. And I don't know if they were blackmail. It just wasn't right. I'm gonna leave it at that. But I believe that we all got ones that we deserved. And I think that looking back on it, now there were other things that went on that probably shouldn't have, as far as the way my mom dealt with each one of us. But when it came to the spankings, when my mom taking care of her niece and nephew, we all got it because we asked for it. And I've said this multiple times during these podcasts, I'm so grateful for what my mother did do, because my mother was a single mother raising 5 children. You know, again, we knew where my father was. My father was not actively involved with us when we were younger. And so it was just my mother. And I look at some of these kids now and how they deal with adults, how they behave in public, how, one of the things I've thought about doing often is going back through some of these police videos and critiquing them or talking about the behaviors that I'm seeing, especially when I see kids under the age of 25 being arrested in their behavior, because a lot of the way they act is a direct reflection of what's happening or not happening at home. The blatant disrespect for authority, that starts at home. That doesn't start when you get out of the house. That's something that is ingrained in you, that you don't have to respect authority. If I have to go up there and talk to a teacher about something, they gonna catch hell. Not, I'm gonna go up to the school and I better not find out you did something. The teacher is going to catch hell. This is the mentality that we're dealing with nowadays. And so there isn't enough discipline going on.
So you said, which was funny, you said you asked for the butt whoopings. So
I did my ass
whooping deserved, and when is it not? Because I know some parents that basically you got whooped for everything. I mean, it was no talking. It was like, oh, you didn't come in lights on? Whooping. You didn't eat all your meal? Oh, that's another whooping. I said go to bed. Whooping. So when does when is it, because I just remember, people getting whooped for everything.
Well, in that, so yes. So some of the things that I have seen or some of the things that I've heard from, especially when I used to work with kids under the age of 18, is, I didn't wash dishes. Well, how many times did your mom ask you to wash the dishes before she spanked you? But something like, I let the door slam when I went out the house and my mom beat me. Or, so sucking your teeth and rolling your eyes, again, that was something we knew not to do. So that would warrant a beating because we knew not to do it. But then there's kids that do. I'm trying to think of some of the just ridiculous things.
Can I play a video and show you why there's a level of frustration with some of these mothers?
Yes.
I'm going to play this video.
Have any kids?
I do. I have 6 altogether.
You gave birth to 6 children?
I did. I gave birth to 6 children.
Are they all by the same man?
No, ma'am.
How many men?
4.
4 men. Melissa, have you ever been married?
I have not.
You have any children?
Yes, I do. I have 5 children.
You have 5 kids. Are all by the same man?
No, they're not. There's 4 different.
Do you have any kids?
Yes, ma'am. I have 4.
How many kids you got, Angel?
I have 4.
Are they all your children by the same man?
No, ma'am.
How many men?
All my kids were by different men.
So 4?
Yes.
Okay, 4 men. Okay.
Nasty bitch.
Do you have any kids? How many kids do you have?
I have 3. I have a 15-year-old, I have a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And I've never been married.
How many men do you have children by?
3.
21 years young. You have any children?
I have 3.
I have a 12-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 10-month-old.
Are they all by the same man?
No, ma'am.
Do the 10-month-old and the 3-year-old have the same daddy? How many men you have children by?
3.
32. Okay, since we got there early, how many kids you have?
I have 5.
You have 5 kids, girl? How old are your 5 kids?
14, 8, 6, 4, and 2.
All by the same man?
No.
How many men?
5 men.
It's ridiculous. It's obvious what's being done out here. It's on a nightly basis. I hope the world can see now what's really going on out here, because it's getting ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. This is ridiculous, man.
Do you have any kids?
I have 4 almost adult children.
All by the same man?
No,
How many men?
4.
4. Have you ever been married?
I have been married to a woman, and it was like an arranged marriage.
What the hell are you talking about?
Yes.
You have any kids?
I do. I have 5.
All by the same man? How many men?
I'm sorry?
How many men?
3.
3 men. Okay. Do you have any? Oh, you have a child. How many kids do you have?
7. She's the youngest.
You have 7 children. Hey, how many men do you have children by?
5.
Do you have any kids?
Okay, that's enough. That's enough.
Be
I can't
embarrassed.
take it.
Be
I can't take it anymore. So can you hear the level of where that woman might be at the time that she sees one child doing wrong? If she's got 5 to 7 of them to tend to, and she has no help in the house, and possibly, all the fathers aren't doing anything in the family, whether that's her fault or not, she still has all the pressure. So
I mean, I guess I do see that. So it's interesting that you brought those type of videos up, because I actually watched that show, and that's one of the things that is mind-boggling each time. Is number one, how can you be attentive to all of your children's needs when you've got that many different dynamics going on? But then, yes, she's the only one doing it, and so my guess is there's oftentimes she has her bandwidth is very short, and she, probably curses a lot at her children. And I shouldn't make that statement as broad as I am making it, but I'm going to make it, because a lot of the times, I talked about core services last podcast, and a lot of that is working in low income areas again. And you see a lot of young women who have children by multiple men. And it's not just the spankings, it's the cursing and the constant yelling at the kid. Yes. And I have been in homes, and I have heard mothers call their teenage girls bitches.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't know how many times my mother got upset with us. My mother never, ever, ever referred to us as a bitch or anything else. This is common in a lot of these households.
Come.
Bitch, or get your ass over here. I told you to shut the fuck up. This is a child. I've heard, who the fuck are you talking to a 4-year-old. You are talking to this child like it's somebody off of the street. This is your child. But then you have the audacity to be upset because somebody disrespected your child. You disrespect your child every time you open your mouth. And you're mad at somebody on the outside doing it.
Right.
And people do not understand the impact this has on a child's self-esteem when they're called a little MF, they're called the N-word, they're called bitches. Get your ass over here. Shut the fuck up. You heard what the fuck I said.
Woo.
What are you doing to that child's self-esteem? And you wonder why this child grows up to hate women, let alone black women. It's a black woman who has told me to shut the fuck up every day since I was 3 years old.
On it.
It's not just the spankings.
That video showed us so much. The woman has 7
that video was 5 minutes long. I stopped it halfway through because it was enough.
No, but the woman who said, I got 7 kids. I ain't married. Oh, I married a woman. It's like you married a woman,
Afterthought.
but would not marry a man.
But had kid by him.
That none of the men were good enough, and you married.
Or should I have to say that a lot of these women were having kids as support anchors for social services? Let's be real.
It is. And that is as real as you can get.
So let's get in these super chats because Darnell is getting active in these questions here. So thank you for the $10 super chat, Darnell. He said, what is the panel's opinion of physical punishment, not abuse? And is it appropriate to use a switch? What age is appropriate? And what is a red line between abuse and corrective punishment? So you want the legal answer? I can play the video and then we can get into our personal ones.
Okay.
So we're going to get into this video. Right. We're going to do this
Can
one.
you legally spank your child? In the state of Texas, this is perfectly legal. The Texas Penal Code allows the use of force, but not deadly force against a child under the age of 18. Such force is justified if the actor reasonably believes the force is necessary to discipline the child or safeguard or promote his welfare. What do you think about this law?
Hold on. I got one more, and it's a little different, but it's still the same state. So it's all interpretive. That's what the law is about. That's why you got to have an attorney. He argues the point.
Is it legal in the state of Texas to give your child chanclazos? According to Texas state law and guidance issued by the Attorney General, parents in the state of Texas may use force, but not deadly force, against children under the age of 18, while the state of Texas does allow for corporal punishment of children under the age of 18 if a parent reasonably believes that it's necessary to discipline the child or to provide for their well-being. You can't just use anything. The state of Texas specifically says a belt or a brush is okay. The Attorney General of the state of Texas has provided some guidance and has basically said that anything other than those two things, hitting a child above the waist, smacking a child in the face, or leaving marks like welts, bruises, cuts on a child, that can constitute child abuse, and that's not okay. So hitting a child with a chancla, probably not okay in the state of Texas.
Again, perspective. That's why I did that. So go ahead and we can address the question. Now that we had some legal advice.
I know that they say not above or this. Look, I was a runner. I was a track star. I was not standing around and get the whooping. What kind of person says you gonna just sit here and take it? I'm not doing that. Right. I think I'm gonna run. And look, we both gonna get tired. You gonna get tired of chasing me. I'm gonna get tired of running. But one how I'm just not gonna sit here and take it.
You ever have a timeout on a whooping? It started one day and it ended the next.
Yeah. So my thing was,
she's still gonna get you.
Yeah, I was getting hit in all wherever the belt could land. You know, wherever she could catch me at, that's where I was getting hit.
Because you blocking.
Yeah, we got Bruce Lee in here. That's how I'm hitting. I'm gonna grab the belt. So I got hit everywhere. It just mattered where the belt went. I did hear this, and I thought about it. Evander Holyfield was fighting Mike Tyson. Evander Holyfield was married. He's in training camp. His wife at the time called and said, look, your kid, I can't handle him. He's like 10 years old. He flew back. He left training camp from Las Vegas, flew back to Atlanta to spank him. And the person was saying, how did you spank him? He said, I spanked him with all my might. Look at him like, what? And they're like, how could you do that? He said, because if I spank him like that, I'll never have to spank him again. Like that, he gonna remember it. I'm just saying that's how it was. That's what he said. So there was some corrective punishment to let you know, because everybody knows that time, like, I ain't gonna do this no more. Like you remember when you touched that stove and it was hot and you don't want to feel that pain no more. So his thing was, I don't spank often. I spank rarely, but when I spank, you're going to remember it. And we're not going to have this conversation anymore. He said, what age is appropriate? I spank. Well, see, let me do this. Spanking and touching. I'm going to say spank. I spank when they can touch something. And when I say spank, it's like, hey, stop. Don't touch that. Because at a young age, at 2, it's not that hard. You can do this, and the disappointment in it makes them cry.
Right.
So, you know, it doesn't have to be a pain, but if you start at that young age, just hey, you don't have to do it when you get older. because they've already trained it to be like, oh, that hurt, even though it didn't hurt. It hurt their feelings more than it hurt them anyway. So I say you start whenever they can start to understand you, when they know right or wrong. And there is a line between abuse and corrective punishment. I just think when you're whooping for no reason at all,
Correct.
and it goes beyond when the punishment didn't fit the crime, that's when it becomes, abuse. Or you're just doing something sadistic, some people do sadistic.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, Georgia, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I do. So, Betty used a switch, a belt, and whatever else she could pick up. So I think now, did I deserve everyone that I got? Yes. Did she need to use this weeping willow tree switch? I don't know. Because they were it broke the skin, and I had welts, and so there were definitely I definitely preferred the belt. I did, and think my mother would wait till we got out the tub.
Oh Lord, not while you're wet. Yeah, that's old school.
We got it wet with the switch or the belt, and so, but like I said, she got tired of talking. So my mother, she would tell us time and time again not to do something, and we would do it, and she got tired of it. So one of the other things, I miss the collective neighborhood checking your child. That's not allowed now. So I remember being young. I don't know if y'all remember the little hand thing, Miss Mary Mack. So anyways, this little thing is little, little like the whatever.
The little hand smack.
Yeah. So it was fun with, talked about fruit cocktail.
Yeah.
And yes. I was on the corner, down the street, down the way, and was playing that little thing, doing that with one of the little girls. I was probably 6 or 7. Didn't even remember it. Had fun, was sweaty, funky, chasing fireflies and whatever, having a lightning bug. And got home, and my mother said, "What were you doing down there in the corner?" And I'm like, "Today we were playing. I was catching, lightning bugs." And she said, "What were you singing down there in the corner?" It's like, oh, jeez.
Don't say Miss Mary Mack.
It didn't matter because she knew, and I got my butt beat. And it was because the neighbors saw me down there being fast, and they let my mother know. And so I was out there. She didn't call me home. She let me have my fun. She let me finish out the night. And I got home, and I never did Miss Mary Mack again. So I missed that collective piece, because nowadays, did you say something to my child? You better not say shit to my child. Right. That's my motherfucker. You don't tell me how to.
You can't say nothing to a kid now.
Say anything. So your child is out there burning down the school, threatening to blow up shit, and I'm not gonna say anything because you told me not to talk to your child. So I'm gonna let you know that I'm not gonna let you know your child just bought 16 cans of gas at the gas station. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna say anything.
For me, yes, physical punishment is okay as long as it's not bordering abuse. I took my fair share of weapons, just like Fearless in Georgia have, from weeping willows to tree branches to cutting boards to a special belt she hand sold a handle to. Okay. Yeah. And when she purposely would leave whelps and send you to school in shorts the next day.
Say something.
So I seen all that. I've been through all that. I felt the heat on my legs for a couple days afterwards. You get what I'm saying? Because you got those deep cuts and you got to get in that bathtub again and you feel that burn. Lord Jesus. So yeah, I've done all that. But did I do my kids like that? No. I'm the guy that taught my kids consequences through reinforcement. So I have 4 sons. If you guys don't know, the 3 sons that I had by my first wife, I all raised them to have consequences when they didn't choose the right thing.
Yeah.
And when they were younger, they had a longer time to learn the consequence. So as they were young, I would give them 4 times. I'm going to ask you to do something. If I got to come back and check on you 4 times and it's not going to get done, there's going to be a recourse. You're either going to get punished or you're going to get a spanking. Acknowledge it. So they would repeat what I said. What's going to happen if I get to 4 and you haven't done what I asked you? I'm going to get spanked or I'm going to get punished. As long as you know, I will walk away. 3, 2, 1, and then if I had to spank him, I did. I never had to. But as they got older, it stopped from being 4 to 3 to 2. I only have to ask you once.
Yeah.
And you already know the program. So that happened all throughout their life. I only had to whip my youngest son once. Out of him being inquisitive, he pulled up the cable underneath a rug in a condo my company was renting in Palm Springs while I was out working, because he just wanted to know what it was and where it was going. So one kid I only had to whip the whole time out of the 3. Now, none of my sons have gone to jail. None of my sons have done anything wrong legally, you know. So do I think it works? Absolutely. You got to have the right personality. You got to have the right mentality when you're doing it. Do I think all kids can do it without some kind of reinforcement from somebody they might have a little fear that he's going to follow through on that threat of punishing or whooping? Because I'm sorry, once you have a boy at a certain age, we don't feel pain. Matter of fact, I got so good at tightening my ass cheeks. When my mom took a swing at me with a cutting board, I would snap them. And she would get even madder because she knew I had flexed up. And when she hit me with that cutting board, I took the pain, but I knew I was going to break the fuck out that cutting board when she hit me.
Right.
So you get rebellious at a certain age. And if you don't know how to control that early in life, it's going to run away with you or her.
Yeah.
So boys are different. You can tell a little girl, you know, I'm really disappointed in you. That will hurt a little girl's heart to
Not
her
me.
core.
I'm going to keep trying.
At first. And if you're a daddy's little girl, yes, it would hurt you to hear daddy say that to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But for a boy, we're totally different beings. You can't raise a boy like a little girl. We don't give a fuck about your feelings or you being disappointed. We don't give a fuck about that shit.
Yep.
We understand pain. Life is pain for a man. And if you don't reinforce that early in life, that young man is going to go through a lot of pain as a grown man. So that's the answer for me.
So I do want to talk. Darnell asked a really good question. What is the red line between abuse and corrective punishment? One of the other things that I often see or saw in therapy when I was working with 18 and under was the amount of times that a parent would hit their child in the face. I have a huge issue with anybody that hits their child in the face. It is never okay to strike your child in the face. It doesn't make sense.
And so why? My question is why? I just want to know the why behind it. I'm not saying it's right.
Well, so you're teaching your child that I'm hitting you in the face because you've done something wrong and I love you.
So you're associating getting punched in the face to love.
Well,
reinforcement.
It's a very gross feeling for me to hit a child in the face and say you're doing it because you want them to, to respect you and do the right thing. And you have that is when you instill fear in a child. A child should fear you out of not wanting to disappoint you. The child should not fear you out of not wanting to piss you off. And what I mean by that is a child who is, every time they're around a parent and the parent makes a sudden move, the child flinches. That child's being abused. Anytime a child flinches at a parent's unexpected move, that child is being abused. I don't care what situation you put them in.
I've been abused.
Well, you shouldn't. There's because I never got hit out of my mom being angry with me, because that's out of my mom being angry. I never got hit because my mother was angry. I was spanked because I did something wrong and she got tired of talking to me. I never was fearful that my mother was going to hit me out of the blue.
Not out of the blue. You know, you say something and you know it's coming. You know, I got.
You
that
know when
laugh.
you being a smart mouth.
It's
You know
something-
when you popping off and it might come at you.
But popping a child in the mouth, popping the child, hitting the child in the face, that's abuse. And I'm so glad that they are now coming down on that below the waist. Why are you hitting the child in the stomach? Why are you slapping the child in the face? Why are you punching your son in the mouth? That doesn't make any sense to me. When you get to the point where you're having to punch a child, number one, you need help. But number two, you waited too long to do anything. When you are having to go to that level of violence, because now we're talking about violence, we're not talking about discipline. And now you were setting yourself up to go to jail, because now if your son, 16 years old, decides to puff his chest out and hit you back, y'all are now in a fight, and this is now domestic violence.
So let's follow that up with this question real quick.
Hold up before you get there, because I'm going to talk about that on the next. We'll keep it up.
All right.
I want to stay on this one because you mentioned two things: neighbors and public. Do you think your neighbors should be able to still spank childs? And do you think is it psychologically affecting you if a child gets spanked in public? You know, the mom goes to school, spanked wherever it is in public. Your mom came, got you in the corner, spanked you in public. When I say public, in front of your friends or in public generally.
My mother did it.
She didn't give a damn where she smacked you up at.
Yeah.
Dang.
How does that affect the kid psychologically?
She was going to correct me in public. So,
Does that
but
affect the kid psychologically?
Strangers putting their hands on your child, no. Strangers verbally correcting your child, absolutely. Why are you having an issue with your child, with your neighbor saying, watch your mouth? You know, I remember being a public pool. This was back in probably 2007, 2008 here in Georgia. And I remember there was a bunch of teens at the pool cursing and just acting so disrespectful. And there was a whole bunch of adults around and nobody was saying anything. Yeah, and so I said, excuse me. And, you know, all the adults looked at me like, oh, hell, she about to get shot. No, I'm not. I said, excuse me. I said, I'm here. I don't want to hear that kind of language. And so can you please watch your mouth? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I didn't say, you know, y'all going to go to jail. I'm going to call the police on y'all. You know, I'm going to go find your parents. No, I'm here. I don't want to hear it. Can you watch your mouth? Immediate, yes, man. I'm sorry. No more language. And then the lady next to me is like, I can't believe you said something. Why? Because they're black kids?
Right.
I said, no. You know, they know right from wrong.
So I want to tell something. You said a stranger should not, or somebody who's not you. What about paddling in school then?
Hold up now.
You know, so my brother was brought up in the day and age of paddling back in probably 80. You're knowing my age. Well, I'm 51.
Don't worry about it. I got my ass whooped in school by the teacher.
I will say that there were a lot of times my brother was paddled, and now, you know, I would have to ask him, you know, whether or not he felt like that was racially driven, because we were one of very few minorities in the area. And my brother seemed to be getting paddled a lot.
Oh, well, damn. Your brother was bad.
So, and he was no worse than I was. And so, but
you had privileged little girl privilege. And if a teacher wanted to whoop you, it would be consequences if he went overboard.
Yeah.
But for a badass boy. Yeah.
So I would have to ask him. I don't know. But I think that I think you're treading a very thin line when it comes to corporal punishment in the school.
Let's hear what the law says about
Did you know that schools can spank your kids? This is called corporal punishment and refers to spanking, paddling, and other forms of physical discipline. In Texas, corporal punishment in public schools is perfectly legal. However, a parent can opt out with a signed written statement sent to the school board, and it needs to be submitted each school year. So if you live in Texas and you don't want the school putting their hands on your kids, you better opt out.
So it's
Texas
still going on
different.
today. I like that. Yeah. As long as they ain't. Now, the teacher that whooped me was another black teacher. So I did something wrong. I knew I did something wrong. So, but see, some of those teachers were sadistic. They drilled holes in those cutting boards when they hit you.
Yeah.
That's a little sadistic. You talking about wind shear. Come on, man. You trying to hurt somebody a little bit with those holes in the
And
board.
I don't know about allowing a stranger. I understand that this is your teacher or whatever, but when it comes to putting hands on a child, I think that needs to be left at home for the parent. I don't know that I'm okay with a stranger putting their hand on a child. You need to call home and say your child is a problem and the parent needs to handle it. But I don't know that nowadays, I just think it opens up too many avenues for a kid to think it's okay for somebody to put their hands on you. And that's where I would draw the line.
Well, what happens when you got these kids at school? There's no discipline at home. They're running amok in school. Is there a time you have to? What are you doing? In school suspension not working?
No, I think when it comes to a kid who is being disruptive on a constant basis, and the suspension hasn't worked. There's only so many times you need to suspend a child, and then the child needs to be put out of school. I think it's ridiculous for these kids. Well, he was suspended from school 17 times. Why the hell is the school wasting their energy suspending this kid? Put the kid out of school because you've disrupted.
Or have the kid evaluated. Why is he acting out like that?
Right. But I think when the kid is that disruptive, you're impacting other kids.
Right.
So the kid doesn't need to be there anymore. But then, yes, the next step is, why is this kid so disruptive? What is going on at home, or what is going on with this child that they're acting out this much? And chances are, I'm gonna gather to say 99% of the time there's something going on at home that needs to be addressed.
Let's go ahead and go to the super chat because it's a 2-part super chat. There's one question, and I appreciate you, Darnell, for the two $10 super chats to continue the question. He said, Miss Georgia, black women are the best disciplinarians. I hope you being sarcastic because I think Fearless got some videos that show you what dad power does. But let me continue this. He goes, yet 1/3 of black boys and 1/10 of black girls still end up in jail compared to the white counterparts, 1/5 and 1/50th, respectively. Black children, the continuation get more beatings than white children. Yet black children are more likely to become criminals compared to white as adults. Is physical punishment not effective or corrective behavior? Why the gap?
Well, I think there's many different dynamics that play into that. You've got, the economics. There's a lot. So I don't know that I would separate the two when it comes to disciplining. Now,
I got that. Hold on. So we went to cultural differences.
Okay.
Black and brown communities are more accepting of spanking as a disciplinary tool, viewed as a way to protect children from harsher punishment from the outside world. And I think somebody on here said this, that somebody in the chat said that he's got a whooping because he said the police don't use belts. Yeah, my father told me cops don't pull up with belts. So that's why we do it. We beat our kids so the world doesn't have to. I heard that a lot.
Yeah.
That's our communities. White communities, they tend to be more gentle parenting, higher criticism of spanking in academic, psychological, and progressive parenting circles. So that's that time out. Let's talk. Let's do that. There's also a religious influence. Evangelical, Muslim, and traditional Christian families may see spanking as morally accepted. Don't sport a rod and sport a child or something like that.
Spare the rod, hold the kid. Yeah.
Immigrants. So a lot of immigrants come from countries where spanking is normalized and legally accepted. And a lot of them, when they get to the United States, they go through a lot because they're like, well, I can, in my country, this is okay. We can slap them. So that person with the house shoe, that's like a Latino thing. You get slapped around with the shoe.
Yeah, the chancla.
Yeah. So there is a difference, culturally difference in how we see disciplining children. And so why, if we are disciplining our children, physically.
Or they ending in jail more.
Correct.
But I don't think it's just about discipline. I'm thinking it's also opportunities. So we can. I think when we compare white culture to African American culture, I don't think it's a fair comparison. I really don't, and I wish that would stop being used.
Why do we discipline different?
I can answer that.
And not only that, when she goes to answer it,
white kids don't fear. White kids don't fear the police.
No. And to go back on what you would go back to you, Georgia. Why do we do it different? And then you're a therapist, a white therapist than you. How would y'all say it? Like your white therapist, like, no, you don't do that. And you say it's okay. Why is that? You both are doing therapy. Why do you see corporal punishment differently from a black therapist to a white therapist and to white people and black people?
Well, I don't know if I don't know if we can separate it by therapists, because there are white therapists that are perfectly okay with spanking. So I don't know if we can separate it like that. But I think that when it comes to, Ronan said it, African Americans, there's so many things out there for us to be worried and concerned about. And so we have to prepare our children differently than white kids have to prepare their kids. We're trying to prepare our kids for the world that has a whole bunch of chips stacked against them. White kids don't have issues of being racially profiled.
But we're preparing them by whooping them? I mean, I
hear what you're saying, but I think it's not preparing them by whooping them. It's trying to correct behaviors that can possibly get you shot, where in a white society, they don't have to worry about their kid stepping out of the car during a traffic stop getting shot. Whereas a black kid stepping out of a car during a traffic stop is going to get shot. So I think a lot of the behaviors we try to correct at home while we can. And a lot of those behaviors white people don't have to worry about. So I think there's a whole different set of stuff that black kids, especially black boys, have to worry about that white boys don't think about. They don't think twice about.
Is there a medical term through the psychology of correction through pain?
I'm sure there is, but I can't think of it right now.
Because what I'm thinking is black kids need to be corrective through pain, because that pain is momentary where a bullet is not.
And to go, Darnell said he doesn't think it affected. I think it is. I think the problem is what you said before. A lot of black women yell. They just scream. And then it becomes, they do it so much that it's, one, not effective. And two, there's nothing to back to it. I'm going to give you two examples. Two examples of how this happens.
Sit down.
No.
Junior, sit down.
No.
You want a whooping?
Whooping?
Sit your ass down, man.
He already know what's up.
You have to sleep. No, I want bed. You're sick. No, I'm not. You're sick. No.
Lay down, be quiet.
The power of dads. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments.
So why is that? I mean, you want to say the women are raising, but they're yelling. They're saying, if you looked at that, the amount of time the woman spent talking to the child compared to the amount of time the dad spent was 100 times on what they said.
Okay.
The dad was stripped straight there. And this was not involving any whooping. I don't know if there was a fear there, but go ahead.
However, I'm so glad you pulled that example up, because I see this so much come in the thing. There's no.
Yeah, get up out of this one.
There's a lot of times women do not follow through with what they're saying. There's no follow through. So you can talk to you blue in the face and the child's not listening, but you're not following through on the consequences. Dad is like, look, get in the bed. Now, what I have an issue with when I heard that parents say, get your ass down, Me cussing at kids it bothers me, because why are you cursing at children? I don't know why that gets to me the way it does, but I think it's disgusting when parents curse at their children. There's no need for it. There's no need to curse at your child. But a lot of times when I see parents who are having to constantly talk to their kid over and over again, you are not following through on the consequences. When you start following through on the consequences, you don't have to talk as much. I told you that if you do this, you're grounded for a week. And you ground them, but then 2 days later, they're watching TV. You have to follow through every single, it can't be every other time.
And I know we, as all three of us sitting here, we had that 1,000-mile stare from our mothers. And she could be across the room with that stare, and you would lock up and freeze up real quick, like, oh shit.
Yep.
You know, you already knew what that look meant. She didn't have to say a word, but she put hands on you to make sure you understood what that meant.
Yes. I told you to stop it. Why were you acting like that at the grocery store? Because you got it when you got home, or you got it in the car. You knew better. So a lot of times when a father comes in the room and he says it one time, that's because the father has followed through every single time he said something. Every single time. That's why that's effective. And that's why parents or you women are so tired of talking. Start following through on what you say, and then the kid will listen. And you won't have to spend 1,000 sentences on this child every time they do something. Follow through.
Yeah, I think that's so bad. And I mean, I almost would just, it's just like a kid. You start to zone that out. If you know, I don't know, Rona, when you had a child, when you hear him crying, because I've been in places where you hear him crying and you talk to the bro, you hear your kid crying? They're like, oh, they crying? I mean, they've heard it so much. It's just like white noise. Yeah. And I think that's what happens with the kids. They're just like, she just yelling. We're going to do whatever.
Some of the yelling in some of these homes I had to go into, I'm thinking, shut up. You shut up. You telling the child to shut up. You shut up. I'm tired of hearing you talk.
But the example of that little boy being up on that thing, and he said no to his mama. And she said, do you want a spanking? And he shook his head like, yeah, I want a spanking from you. But when daddy said it, you ain't done nothing to me. Yeah, you want to spank me? Go ahead and spank me. But when he heard dad, he already knew dad's going to follow through and tear that little ass up.
It's the follow through. So if mom would follow
through, said, is that bass in your voice too?
Well, it is that, but it's the follow through. It's the follow through. So that child already knew. Mommy said she gonna spank me. I ain't got a spanking yet. Yes, I want a spanking, mommy. Please do. You ain't done it yet.
My other question is this. So what we talked about, we've kind of broken it down. We said black, white, the pros and cons. The other one I won't say your age, but like you said, you was like,
I'm 51.
Okay, no problem.
I'm proud of it too. What?
So the thing is, 51. You are Generation X and boomers. So why is there? So if there was a therapist who was 30, 25, it's going to be different. So why is there a difference in spanking when it comes to older generations, such as the boomers and the Generation X? Because they say it worked on us. Spanking is seen as normal. And the belief that discipline equals respect, compared to the young generation, the millennials, the Gen Z, where they say, we're more educated, the psychological trauma, we favor positive reinforcement, gentle parenting, timeouts. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. I want to know about your emotional needs. And they see as spanking as outdated and possibly harmful. So why does Generation X and boomers feel this way? Because you said it maybe not a difference with the therapists who are black and white. Why is it older versus younger? Beat their ass. Let's have a conversation.
Well, and I just said DFACS and children's services. These kids nowadays are bold. The parent yells too much. The parent takes the phone away. I'm going to call children's services. You said this, I'm going to call children's services. My mother would be like, call children's services and make sure you pack up all your stuff and be waiting for them at the door when they come to get you. So parents, and unfortunately, a lot of parents nowadays are scared to discipline their children. They're scared.
Not in the state of Texas.
Well, no, they still scared because they, you think about it. Let's take you, George. You say, man, I've got a good career here. I've done this. A call, and I seen. A matter of fact, I wish the wife could say, one of the children called on her mom, and she was a teacher. She lost her job over that accusation.
Yep.
Over the accusation. So as a parent, you think, I can't lose my 6-figure salary over, you acting crazy. Call the police. You can just go with them. And it's like, I don't even want to deal with the discipline because, the police will come and say, well, it's domestic violence. And, just for we got to call child protective custody. And, for the sake of the child, we want to be safe. And as a parent, you think, I done worked all my life for this kid to say something crazy because they just want to go out after 12. Oh,
go out.
So how do you deal with that when it's like, I can't spank because the government has made it virtually, the pendulum has swung so far one way.
But I mean, this is why you have so many kids who are out of control because the parents, they are tired. And so parents, there are so many kids that are literally locked in their rooms, don't socialize with the family anymore. The parents don't make them socialize. There's no more eating at the dinner table. These kids are fending for themselves.
Hold up. I was a latchkey kid. Come on now.
That's different.
No, it's still, you raised yourself with me and my brother. That was it. We know how to cook. We know how to clean. My mom was her RN. She was at the hospital at night. So she slept during the day.
But
so
you had
you might have seen her from the time she woke up till she had to go to work. So I didn't turn out like that. Okay. I'm not sitting here bad mouthing people like that these days.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about parents who have disconnected out of fear of consequences for themselves. Even though I came home and had to let myself in and I'm making dinner and washing clothes at 13, 14 years old, I still feared my mother. I still feared doing something wrong because there were going to be consequences. Parents nowadays, well, you know what? They're not burning down the house. Let them in there. They can do whatever they want. I've got kids who won't even wash their asses because the parents are tired of talking to them. That was not an option to get your tail in the tub when I was growing up. I have gone into Walmart and have had a whole aisle spunked up from a teenager in there reshelving, restocking because they didn't wash their tail. Parents are tired of, they don't want to deal with their kids anymore. The basic needs aren't being taken care of. They're tired of talking to their kids. They're afraid if they enforce the rules, they take their cell phone. How many times have I had a session with a grown woman with children and fathers? What do I do with my kid? Turn their phone off that you're paying for every month. What do you mean turn their phone off? They need to get in contact with us. Okay, in 1989, when you needed to come get a ride home from school, what did you do? You figured it out.
You know what we used to do?
Go to the office because the office still has a landline, and they can call you to tell them that they need to be picked up. And so my this whole thing of, well, I don't want to take away their technology because they need this thing. Stop it. Stop.
That reminds me, I seen this crazy commercial. The kid is at work. He works at Domino's, and he calls his dad and says, I need a ride home. And Dad's like, huh? Like, I'm not giving you no ride home. He said, well, Uber costs $35. He's like, okay. He's like, we got to think outside the box. So the dad ordered a pizza, which was $12, and said, I'll order the pizza to the house, jump in the car with the person who delivered the pizza, and now you just save $15 and you get pizza. Like we just figured it out. Like when I was there, we didn't have rides, but so we played the game where this is way before your time, so y'all might not have it. Where we was at, we would call home collect. The mom wouldn't accept the call, but she knew that was time to come get you.
Right.
So that's the game we played.
Oh my God, those were the days. My God.
So for you guys that don't know what she did, when you call home collect, you get like a second to say, this is like, I like to make a collect call, calling your name. And so you say your whole message in that second. I need to ride home by. And it'll be like, you have a collect call from, I need a home, I need to ride home by. Y'all just don't know what we went through to get there. It was entirely different.
There were no cell phones. We had pagers back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't even really get cell phones until almost 2000.
Yep.
And, you know, we're 25 years, you know, 25
we
years
made
of cell phones and MySpace. And, you know, these kids nowadays, they have no idea what it means to be without technology. And it is possible.
Yes.
And these parents they've allowed their kids to get away with murder. And my thing is, you shut that cell phone off, things can get done when you shut that phone off and turn the internet off.
Yep. I'm gonna do some bonus questions for you. Then whoever wants to come up, we'll bring them. So, is spanking a form of trauma, even if it's done with love?
I mean, I'm gonna say that's a hard no.
Okay. So you know, your mom said, "I'm gonna whoop you because I love you."
Well, see, I think that's gross. And my mother never said that. I think that's gross.
Why do you think that's gross?
I just think to say I'm gonna hit you because I love you. No, I'm hitting you because I told your ass to sit down.
But they love you because they don't want you to go.
No, but I think I'm so glad you said that. I think that is gross, and I think people need to stop connecting love with hitting. No, I'm beating your tail because I have told you time and time again not to do something. Okay, it's not about love. I'm telling you not to do something. You're disrespecting me, and this is what's happening. Stop hitting and then saying I love you. That is so gross to me. Stop. It's gross. I feel like you're just setting up a whole society of women who are abused. But he said he loved me, and that's why he popped me in the mouth. Stop.
Right.
I don't like it.
Well, what are your healthier alternatives that actually work? The healthy alternatives of spanking.
I don't have any. I don't have a none. I'm kidding. So I think the healthier alternatives, you know, especially once your kids get too big to put, you know, to be spanking, because now we're fighting. It's not even a spank. We're fighting. Taking the cell phone, turning the cell phone off, shutting down the internet, you know, once they've gotten their homework done, and for them to have to do their homework between 6 and 8 o'clock, you need to have your homework done because the internet's getting shut off. I think doing things like that, you're taking the child's whole cell phone away. You know, you're paying the cell phone bill, but the kid is telling you to shut the F up. Make it make sense. And I'm not exaggerating. These are situations that come into therapy. A blatant disrespect, coming home when they want to, this, that, and the other. And my question always is, who's paying the cell phone bill? Well, I am. Well, you're dumb because your kid doesn't respect you and you're giving them, this is a luxury. They still have landlines. This is a luxury.
Does timeout work?
What do you mean?
You know, you've been bad, go sit in the corner, or, you know, go to time. I don't know. I don't even know what really, I've never had timeout.
Not for teenagers.
Even a young person, you know, is timeout working? Is it?
Yeah, I think once a kid gets to probably, I'm going to say 5, we probably need to stop doing time. Mm-hmm. It's just not effective. The kid's over there thinking about how to burn the house down at this point. So,
He's actually trying to cut you up and put you in little bags.
Seriously. So I think by the age of 4 or 5, we need to back away from the timeouts. I do think timeouts are effective to a point. But when you're having to repeat yourself over and over again about the same thing, we probably need to start implementing something a little bit harsher. But I think technology, shutting down the internet, taking away the car keys, that's another thing. Kids who are disrespectful, who have cars, and they live in your house, and you're paying for the gas and the car. Well, I don't understand why they won't come home. Take the car. Take the car. I don't. having these conversations with parents is mind-blowing to me. And parents literally are terrified to well, how are they going to get to school? The bus or their feet? You know, if they're making the decision to to continually disrespect what you're putting in place, then why are you giving them the luxury of having a car, paying for their gas? Well, and my other thing is, once a child is 15 years old, why don't they have a part-time job? Well, they can't juggle their studies. I juggled 2 part-time jobs, a full-time job, and a full master's program. They can't juggle a part-time job and go to school? At what point are you teaching the kid responsibilities? They need a part-time job. Even if it's working 4 hours a week, they need to understand what it means to have a job, to get there on time, and to do what's expected. So these kids who are 16, 17, 18 years old who've never had a job, I do not understand that. I don't care how wealthy you are. They need to understand what responsibility looks like.
So do you think that spanking builds character? Do you think it causes psychological damage? Like what Darnell was saying, hey, the spanking versus not getting spanked. Does one cause damage? Does one not cause damage?
Yeah. So I think we have to continue to separate the two. We have to separate abuse from spanking. Abuse absolutely causes psychological damage.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I want to ask this. A lot of women get in relationships with men, or just in general. So there are women who are in relationships with men, and the men become physically abusive. We agree? Let's say we agree. That happens. I think what women don't understand is when they get in a relationship with a man, they can become verbally abusive. And I want to ask you, when you talk about children, what is the difference between physically spanking, and we hear the people, you a bitch, you this. What is that psychological difference to say, hey, I got whooped, or my mom just cussed me out, called me bees, all this? What is that difference? Because I think some women don't understand, a guy can hit you, yeah, but they don't understand the reverse of the verbal abuse that they give. They think, I didn't hit you, it's okay.
Right. So, gosh, see, you guys asked some really good questions.
And Drew, come back, brother. We about to open it up.
When you are verbally abusing a child, you are tearing down the very core of who they are. You're tearing down their self-esteem, their value, their self-worth. When you look at your female child and call her a bitch, you're just a bitch. You just like your damn worthless daddy. I can't stand his ass. When parents literally compare their kid to the man that they hate, the man that they have talked about wishing unalived, you just like your dad.
Ooh, we've heard that on the internet with a brother that was live with his mama.
When I tell you, I have had so many conversations about women who tell their daughters and their sons, you just like your daddy. What are you have made it clear that you hate this man, and on days you don't even want him on this earth anymore. And you have told your child that he is just like their father. She is just like her father. That verbal abuse tears their self-esteem and their value down to bare minimum. Calling your child, MFs and get your ass over here and shut the fuck up. And I told you to do what the hell I told you to do. Why are you cursing at your child? What is wrong with your vocabulary that you cannot find another word to communicate with your child?
So do you think verbal abuse is worse than, I don't want to say physical abuse.
Yeah, I think it goes. I think they're equal. I think the verbal abuse is just as equally bad as physical abuse, and women engage in the verbal abuse a lot, and they don't understand in relationships. You know, calling your husband, your man an MF and in the N word, and you ain't worth shit. That's no better than him hitting you.
Hey, you seen the show I was on when I got called that, and not only that, the guy who was, the one you said you couldn't listen to for
Georgia, we need to have a separate show just for Fearless and all the traumas he's experienced while being a YouTuber on panels.
I can only imagine.
I think
you've seen that. And not only I got cussed out, called the N word, and all those other things, but the guy was co-signing it, and I'm thinking, now, would you co-sign it if I was hitting her upside the head? So my question is, why is it okay to allow someone to verbally abuse me? Because we would never get back and let a man physically abuse the woman.
It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay to try to demean a man, to talk about his manhood, to curse at a man. None of that is okay. It's just as bad as a man physically abusing a woman. And I don't understand why that is not talked about more. Women who curse at their men, their children, they're no better than picking up something and hitting a person. It's no better. It causes
you know what it is?
Damage.
See, the problem is when you physically hit someone, you see those scars immediately. When you verbally, those scars don't appear.
Correct.
And because they don't appear, they think it doesn't hurt them. And I'm glad you said that. That is, I don't hear a lot of women that really go in about the verbal abuse can be just as detrimental as
Gosh, I mean, the disrespect. I saw something the other day that was so interesting, and this is kind of off topic, but it isn't. It was one of the Baldwins. It was, I can't remember. I think it's the older of the Baldwins. He was at an award ceremony with his wife, and
she corrected it. Oh,
I could not even believe what she did to that man in public. Because my thing is, if you're willing to do that to him in public, what do you do in private?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, Ronan, if you saw it, but they were hosting. It was a show. It was an award show, and the host had asked the wife something, and he was literally saying something like praising her, supporting her, and she said, "You don't speak when I'm being spoken to." She literally she chopped him down to a child. It was embarrassing to see.
Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can.
I mean, it was the most humiliating thing that I'd seen.
Let me see if I can. I found it. Let me see if there's on this part.
Hold on 1 second. Let me read this $10 super chat while you look. Darnell Elliott, $10 super chat. Save this question for the end. We discussed punishment, but what about rewarding positive behavior? Does the parent believe in paying allowances for chores? What about gifts for good grades, etc.? I did all those things with my son.
I think that's amazing. I think that I wish more people are like, well, they're supposed to do good. Well, then what are they rewarded? You know,
we're saving that one for the end. That's going to be the end. We might have to bring Darnell up for that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I got it.
Yeah.
You make it more silly than it is. I feel. No, we just cut all that part out.
Cut me out.
Cut you out when you're trying to make it silly.
Okay, so this got awkward.
No, that wasn't it.
That wasn't it. I don't know where she went in and said it, but man, I thought that was the part.
That was just as bad. But yeah, it was.
I think I'm just getting the clips where they're not actually playing it. What she was saying, man. Yeah, it
was awful.
She made that was embarrassing. It was
embarrassing.
So go ahead and finish the question with Darnell about positive reinforcement.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the kids should be celebrated for what they do well. I think that's a wonderful way to just, acknowledge your child. we were expected to do chores, but my mother, we didn't have to want for anything. You know, my mother, if we asked for something and she had it, we got it, but we also had chores that we had to do. So I wouldn't say she paid us to do our chores, but we did what we were supposed to do. So when we needed stuff, we would just ask. So I think it's a good thing to reward kids and to acknowledge kids for the good things. I mean, kids nowadays, they have to deal with so much stuff. I think that we need to continue to find opportunities to celebrate kids. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm having a hot flash.
No, the problem with today is it's a bribe. It's not a reward. They're bribing them. Like, you're going to do this, and I'm just trying to bribe the children. There's no incentive to do good. It's a bribery. And I have one question before we get to his other super chat. American Talk Live says, should a step parent discipline a child who is not their own?
I have.
I'll answer this, and then I'll let you get a therapeutic way. Yes, because there is no way that I'm going to go into somebody's house. You want me to pay the bills. You want me to be everything but the man in the house, but I can't have the respect of discipline in the house. That's one. Number two, there is no way that especially if I'm a step parent, say that, your child is 3 and I have a child and we have a child together. So they're both downstairs. When they're 6, they're writing on the wall, and I spank my child, and you tell me I can't spank this child. Already in the household is divided because my child is saying, well, hold up. How can I get punished for this? And this child don't get punished. That causes resentment in the house.
Correct.
If I get in the household where all the rules are the same for everybody in umbrella, then I don't want to be it. And that's what happens in a lot of stepfathers' homes where it's like, well, that's my child. Now you want him to be 100% responsible for the bills. You want him to protect. You want him to do everything else, but he can't do anything else. He can't discipline or none of that. So I'm not going to pay 100% of the bills, and I can't have 100% of the control. Don't give me that. Don't have me as a financial person. So right. I do believe that a stepchild, if you think
to say physically,
I'm whip their ass. Yes, physically. Don't look.
Okay.
I say this, if you don't, and I would do it with my son. If I had my son talk back to whomever I was with and I was married to, don't come to me. Don't come to me and tell me what he did. Whoop his ass. Because what happens if you come to me to tell me what he did and then you expect it?
He's never going to respect
you. That's right. You take care of it. You do it. Don't, because if you always have to come to me when I'm not around, he's not going to respect you. Okay. Yes, physically, I do that. Here's the thing. If you didn't think he was a good man and could physically discipline your children, why you marry him? He couldn't be a good father, but he could only be a good provider. Don't marry him.
Okay. So I agree with you to a point. Okay. So where this gets real fuzzy is depending on how old the child is when the man comes into the child.
You can't do it to an 18-year-old. Yeah, you can't come in or 16 or something.
Well, correct. So I'm talking about, a 13-year-old and the man's coming into I think that when the children are younger and they're more malleable, then I think that's a good time to go ahead and say, okay, this is now another parental figure in the home, and you need to listen. But I think it gets real shaky when you start getting to 12, 13, 14 years old. There can be a lot of resentment there. But the other part of that is once a child is 12, 13, 14 years old, and there are disciplinary issues enough that the child would need to be spanked, that was something that happened well before the step parent came into the picture.
Correct.
So I feel like there's a certain age where kids should be able to say, oh, mom told me not to do it. So, okay, cool. But if the kid is still talking back and being disrespectful at 13, 14 years old, that happened well before the stepfather or stepmother came into the picture. So that's something that needs to be addressed with the parent, the bio parent. Hey, Darnell.
Yeah, I can tell you this. As a stepfather, I got married to his mother when he was 8. And between the ages of 8 and by the time you said 13, he knew and understood the rules of my house.
Yeah.
And she knew I did not play, and so did he.
Correct.
So at that point, I didn't ever have to physically put my hands. Like I said, I never had to physically put my hands on any of my kids. Like I'm 6'2". I'm not a non-imposing figure, especially to a child.
Right. Right.
You know, so ain't no kid on their right mind just gonna look at me and just think they're gonna do anything they want to do without feeling some kind of wrath.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they just didn't even want to fucking feel it, you know, or even think about feeling it. So it just never went down that way.
Yeah.
You know, so even as a stepfather, I never had to deal with that. When it came to him losing his mind or saying, you ain't my daddy, none of that shit would never come out of his mouth. You know, with all the things he saw me do for his mother. I want to read the super chat before we get everybody in here because Darnell already paid, even though he's on the panel. He asked you, Miss Georgia, he goes, studies show that fathers discipline their sons more harshly than their daughters, and vice versa, with mothers discipline their daughters more harshly than sons. Is that reverse? What is that? Oedipus?
Oedipus. I would. It would be so. I would have to look at these studies because I'm not. I would have to truly have to understand where these are coming from. But yeah, I don't feel like that's reverse Oedipus.
Yeah, I apologize for the question. It's kind of badly worded, like a reverse Oedipus complex is what I was trying to say.
No, I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant, but I don't know. And I would have to actually see the study to see what all is involved before I could make that comparison.
I thought the Oedipus complex was dealing with the child looking at the mother as a sexual thing.
Right.
That wouldn't be as a father or a mother disciplining the son or the daughter. That would be he's not desiring her. He's whooping the hell out of her. But again, like I told you, as a father, I know for a daughter, me telling her I'm more disappointed in her actions and her behavior hurts her soul a little bit more than me trying to tell a boy that shit. Which he's gonna look at you like that's a fucking joke. You know, no male child cares about whether you are disappointed. That's why I said men associate, learning to pain, while girls, it's more of an emotional thing. So you have to connect on the emotional level with a daughter, more so than pain.
Well, to be honest with you, Ronan, I do have to disagree on the where a father says that they're disappointed because I can recall growing up, it made me depressed, to hear like when my father, my grandfather, my uncles and things like that, growing up, they would say, oh man, Darnell, he ain't gonna amount to shit when he grows up. And I mean, literally, I would hear my grandfather on the phone with a relative, yeah, that boy Darnell, boy, I don't know, he's a fucking lost cause. And that was just more depressing than getting an ass whooping to me.
I can see where that would hurt, and affect you. So I'm not going to discredit your feelings to that.
Yeah.
Some sons look, and see, I can say this because I didn't have my father necessarily in my house. I didn't necessarily live to try to exceed my father's expectations or his vision of me. I didn't really give two fucks. But I guess if your father's around you, you would. So then I can see where that position for you, it would hurt you because you're looking for your father's approval and his pride in you. You are your father's son. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And, and as far as that, what I meant to say, I didn't mean reverse Oedipus as in a sexual context, but basically it's like, what I'm trying to say is like, okay, so fathers, in my opinion, they treat their, their daughters with kid gloves, right? But, and mothers, they treat their sons with kid gloves. You know what I mean? It's not that they want to be with them or anything. It's just
the perfect TV show for you, Landman.
Oh man,
I had Fearless watch it. And it's got Billy Bob Thornton in it, so it's really well acted, and it's a series. But you guys should watch that. You should see the relationship Billy Bob Thornton had with his young daughter, who was sexually active in high school, and his son, who was trying to learn how to run rigs and oil and work around a lot of dangerous things, even though he went to college. You should see the relationship between those three and how he treated each one of them. But I look and tear things up. When I look at shows, I tear and dissect. Why are people doing things? I'm into game theory and that thought process behind it. So, and I put it Fearless on it. He loved it once he started watching it.
The other thing, Darnell, is this: we as men do not and cannot see our daughters in a sense being like that. So we treat them a certain way. It's like, nah, my daughter, she can't do that. So we treat them a certain way, and by doing so, they can manipulate us. And the same when it comes to the woman and men. They get manipulated by the son because the mothers see them a certain way. So that's why you need both parents in the household, the one that can say, nah, little girl, I know I done played that game. You think you wet behind the ears or whatever, whatever they say. The mom can see through that, just like the dad can see through that with his sons. So that's why you need those parents. But usually what happens is, and it happens in society, think about it. Girls are social. And the most thing a girl can do is start a rumor about somebody, talk about somebody, and how they look bad. They come disappointed. With a boy, it's, you got your ass beat. You don't care who talk about it, you just want to get it. So like Rona said, the way we punish is differently because a boy is accustomed to, oh man, I got my ass beat. I'm used to that. And a woman is more fearful of the reputation. I'm disappointed in someone. How are people look at me? What happens? What do women do to other women? You a whore. They'll say that's how they can degrade them.
Oh yeah, they slut shame worse than we do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, we got you, Georgia. That's our 2 hour. We're gonna be rolling out.
You sound a little experienced in that back end part, Georgia. You like, yeah, they do. Come on, share a story with us. You the only woman on the panel. Give us a story. Let's hear how cruel women can be.
I have no stories.
Yes, you do. Or were you the offender? Exactly. Guilty as charged. Go ahead and bow your head right now. Say a prayer.
Dum, 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 dum.
Drew is quiet.
Yeah, I'm just letting Darnell get his off. How's everyone doing this afternoon?
We're doing well, brother. How are you?
Good. Doing well. I don't know. Have you guys ever watched this show Atlanta?
Yes, the black people. What's his name?
There's black people in it.
What's that guy's name?
Donald
Glover.
Glover.
Yeah, the singer.
Yeah, Donald Glover. There was an episode of Atlanta. It was called 3 Slaps, and I think it's a season 3 or season 4. But it is a good episode. It's really funny. If you guys get a chance to watch it on Hulu or whatever tonight, it's called 3 Slaps, and basically it's about this child that went to school, was misbehaving in class. They called his mom. His mom and grandpa came up there and were basically disciplining him. And grandfather slapped him 3 times in the face. And the teacher saw this and she said, well, I'm going to get you up out of there. And he's looking like, what? Get me out of there. I really didn't do. This ain't much. So while he's at home with his mom, the child services comes. And he has one of those mothers that is like, well, did you call them? She's like, no, I didn't call them. No, you called them. You can go with them. So she puts his stuff in a bag and throws him out. And he gets into a foster house where the 2 new foster mothers, they have adopted all black children. And I don't know if you, like I said,
yeah, they got them eating the crazy foods and stuff.
Right. They had them eating crazy foods, but the funny part about it is that this happened because of him being disciplined. That the one teacher saw the way he got disciplined and she was like, well, I'm gonna send child services over there to check on him. I don't think whatever is going on is right, but it's an interesting episode because there's the thing about Atlanta, that episode there has some elements of truth in it that there was an incident where grandfather came to school and he slapped his son 3 times, or grandson 3 times. There was an incident where a child was dancing on the table. And also the big part of that story is that the 2 foster mothers that adopted him, this is a true story. This happened where in California, where there was these 2 foster mothers that had like 3 or 4 black children, and they drove themselves off a cliff. I don't know if you guys remember that story. It happened like during George Floyd. But
yes,
they drove themselves off a cliff, but they put a twist to it in the story in this Atlanta show. So it's a really good episode. You should watch it, but it talks about child discipline and stuff. But to put myself into it, I got disciplined by my parents. Did there come an age? I think there came an age when, like, I think 10 was the last spanking I got, because once I stood up to my dad and he hit me with something, I was like, okay. So you know, he stopped from there, and I think that's a good age. Like, I think you discipline your kids when they're smaller. It's funny because I was in Home Depot a few days ago, and I had my daughter with me, and we go into the paint section. And I was like, oh man, look at these little paint sticks right here. And she was like, no, Dad, don't bring none of those home, because those little paint sticks were like my little spanking, right? Oh, whatever she's doing. But yeah, the little small paint sticks, I was like, man, I called them like, oh, these my little paddle right here. But anyways, I think you get a certain age with your kids, you got to stop spanking. It becomes taking away things that they like. I think Georgia said it best too, like, stand them up in a corner or whatever. They don't get nothing out of that. You got to take away what they like to do. That's really how you get attention. And I think one thing I credit my mother with, and I've taken this into my parenting style, is that my mom got to a point, when she stopped spanking me, my mom could give me a look. And that look was like, oh man, I really done messed up, And that's the kind of parenting style I bring to it. Is like, I look, and it was like, oh, okay, I need to pump the brakes here, because there's that element that I could get it, she could get it, but am I going to spank her at age? No, but I want her to have that thought, like, oh man, I could get spanking, but my dad done gave me a look. I need to cut this out.
I got a question. We talked about step parents, talked about neighbors. How extended can your family spank? Meaning, like, your grandmother can spank. Can your uncle spank? Can a sister or brother spank you? Can a cousin spank you? Where in the whole family spectrum is spanking allowed?
I think if there's blood there, it's open season.
The blood, I mean, in the Southern church, the whole church could spank you. Where I went to Spirit and Truth in Alabama, the whole church had permission to spank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the way I was growing up with my grandmother. Was that, man, I never forget the last time my grandmother hit me too. And it all, like I said, that's a memory that always stuck with me, because I didn't say nothing that I hadn't heard her say. And I said, God darn it. And man, she slapped me like I ain't never been slapped before in my life. I still feel that slap. And the funny thing is, like, when my mom got home, she told on me, and I got like beat again. I was like, I didn't do nothing. I said the exact same thing that grandma said, but they didn't see it like that.
So you said you have older siblings. So were your older siblings allowed to spank you, Georgia?
Oh no. Well, I'm trying to think. Now I don't think my older siblings ever spanked me, but I was scared of all of them. So yeah, but I don't think they ever spanked me. But I do. Yeah, there was a level of respect there. There still is. But yeah, no, I don't recall them spanking me. But I do know that if they told me to do something, I did it.
I'm sorry.
No, but so I like the question, like, how far in the bloodlines do the spanking go? And I think my thing is, if there's biological blood there, it's open season, because I know a couple times I got at my nieces, but they know it was, because I got tired of talking to them, and it wasn't a lot. My nieces were actually very awesome and are awesome kids, Even my nephews. There's a handful of times I made us pop my nephews when they were younger, but it was never they were all good kids. So but if I told my sister or my brother that I popped one of their kids, they would never be like, "Oh my God, don't hit my kid." They knew that it was warranted. But yeah, I think that if there's a relationship there and you're disrespectful or you've done something out of line, I think family has a right to, as long as there's a relationship there. It can't be the drunk uncle coming over hitting on the kid.
No, because I fight family. I'm sorry. You don't think I would?
Right.
Shit.
I get it.
You swinging on me the wrong way or basing at me the wrong way, we can just scrap on the back. That's the way my family works.
Yeah. No, there has to be a relationship there, but I think family should be able to check family.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Man, I know Georgia, you're gonna be summing it up. We're gonna try to this time. We ended by 2 hours. We're gonna be able to roll.
Yeah. We'll leave it open till 10 o'clock. Is Georgia's got to leave by 9:30. So
I'm gonna be
you want to
out
have some closing remarks?
I gotta make some family phone calls because I'm getting.
Man, I'm sitting here negotiating a sale on my couch and my pub table, and that shit's got to go by this weekend, man. I ain't moving nothing heavy. I'm moving. I'm out of here. I'm out of here by the 2nd. I'll be headed to my mom's house for a couple of weeks to spend some time with her. She just turned 81. Yeah. I don't want to leave the country and not spend some time and bonding time with my mom before I leave. And then I'm on a plane up out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I figured the stuff that I have, if I put in a storage unit without the bigger things, like an awkward ass big leather L-shaped couch that reclines in a big ass pub table that sits 8 people, that's more I can fit in a storage unit without those things being in the way, minimizing my outlay on how much I have to spend here in the States. You know what I mean?
And Ron, I'm gonna ask you the question too. Have you already told your bank that you're going over there?
Oh, I can switch up my bank anytime. Plus, Navy Fed is in the Philippines.
No, but I mean,
yes, my bank knows. Yes, my bank knows, and I can actually tell them when I'm traveling. They know all that. So yeah, they're very aware, and I'll have some secondary contingencies as well. I have multiple credit cards, and some I use and some I have as backup. So
yeah,
I even have the Wise card just in case I need to do some quick exchanges and not have to worry about, I can still use a card for Gcash or whatever. So
man, I wish you the best, man. I hope it.
I'm looking forward to the challenge. Believe me, I had this discussion this morning. With Style, Strictly Travel. We were on his channel this morning, me and Fearless. So yeah, we talked about it, huh?
I was working at the time.
He was working, and I work for myself. Thank you very much. That's what semi-retired means. I can pick and choose when I pull the trigger. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I want to give. I'm gonna let. I know she's gonna be going, so I'm gonna let Ronan hold it down for us. So 2 things before we go tomorrow's show, guys. Make sure you tune in. We got this gentleman here. It can still happen to you. This is Neo, and when you take the red pill, gone wrong. So Neo got drugged over in Colombia. He's supposed to be the man who had, polyamorous, 3 wives and 13 businesses, and I guess somebody they got him, so he's gonna be on tomorrow.
This ain't the same. This ain't the same Neo that was the singer, is it?
No.
This okay, different Neo.
Different Neo.
So before you go, Georgia, give us the last word, your summary on discipline versus abuse, the psychological damages it may or may not cause.
So, I will say that I'm a firm believer still in spanking. There's a definite cutoff for spanking, especially, if you've got an 8-year-old who is 200 pounds, you probably need to stop spanking them. So I think it just, common sense factors in. But I think that once the kid starts,
8-year-old at 200 pounds need to be on a diet.
Well, there's some big kids out there, and I'm just saying y'all are fighting at this point. Yeah. So we need to incorporate some other strategies. But I think once a kid gets 5 years old, I think the timeouts are not working anymore. I think we need to start taking away things. When it comes to the teenagers, parents have to wrap their head around taking away technology. That's where you hit these kids where it hurts. Taking away car keys, taking away, going out on the weekends with your friends. You can't be afraid of taking things away from your child because in fear of them retaliating. When you are scared in your own home, you're the problem. And I've had to say this a number of times in sessions with parents who are, going to bed with and locking their doors at night because there's issues with their kids. You're the problem. It's not the kid. There's something that you created in this house that the child is out of control. So I think that there's a fine line between discipline and abuse. If you are hitting a child out of anger, that's a problem. If you are disciplining a child because you have told them a number of times not to do something and they've done it, or they're in imminent danger, it is
made you big. You're all right.
No, it is okay to pop. I'm not sure what just happened. Y'all just disappeared. But it is okay.
No, we're putting you up on the feature. You featuring you now. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. It is okay to pop a child. So, cursing at children. I wish people would work harder at finding other ways to communicate with their kids, even when they're frustrated. There's never a time that you should be cursing at a kid. It really does. It does a negative. There's a lot of negative impacts that happens with children who are cursed at. Calling your daughters bitches, hitting children in the face. These are all things that, number one, is unnecessary. But when it gets to that point, you have to look at yourself and say, okay, what's going on with me that I'm willing to go there with my kid? So yeah, I think that, under the belt, below the belt, no bruises. I think that still stands for children under the age of 10, and depending on their size, maybe under the age of 13. But once they get to those teens, we got to find other ways to correct behaviors, and taking away things is the best thing, and being consistent. Parents, especially moms, who are having a problem with their kids talking back and they're not listening, you're the problem. You have to be consistent with your child. You can't say, well, I'm going to ground you for a week and then 2 days later they're off of punishment. You have to be consistent. And the follow through is big. So women can be awesome and are awesome at raising children. But there's some women out there that struggle, and, going into therapy, key. But also pulling in some support, tapping into family resources, uncles, grandparents, whatever, to step in, brothers to step in and help with that. If you are a single mother, that's big. Stop trying to do everything on your own.
All right.
Miss Georgia, before you leave, may I ask you 2 questions before you dip out?
Yeah.
Short question.
Okay, I'll shorten it best I can. So for parents that don't believe in physical punishment, okay, because there are those parents out there that don't believe in spanking children. What are things that you would recommend? Like maybe instead of buying designer clothes, maybe you just buying stuff from Walmart. You know what I'm saying, or et cetera, something like that to that effect. What are things that parents that don't believe in spanking children, what are things that they can try, or effective ways of disciplining their children?
Taking things away, taking away the things that they like. If they want to spend the night with their friends, they don't go. And again, it's the follow through. You can threaten kids all day long, but you have to follow through with it, because once you don't follow through, the kid's like, oh, this is open season. So you have to follow through with with disciplining your kids, and taking things away. But you posed another question earlier, Darnell, that I think is awesome. Yes, kids should be rewarded. There's no issue with recognizing children. So I before I cut out, I'm going to be gone the next 2 weeks. My brother is getting married.
Oh,
congratulations.
So I'm excited about that. She's amazing. So if he messes up, she's staying.
Wait.
She's awesome. And then so for the next 2 Thursdays, I'm not going to be available. However, leading into May, Stephanie and I have not forgotten. Like I said, she's training for something, but we're anxious to get this up and running. So we will be coming to a podcast near you soon.
All right. And there's just a second question I have for you really quickly. Fearless and Ronan had disagreed with me when I said I believe that Black mothers are some of the best disciplinarians. What do you think?
I do think that. I think that when it comes to, because even black women will check white children. I see that a lot, and I think it's amazing. And I think that there's some room for improvement. But my mother, I'll use her as the example. My mother never disciplined us, and it wasn't warranted. And I know there's times where my cousins would come over and they would get checked. She didn't spank them, but she definitely had a tone in her voice that they knew that she wasn't playing. So I think that Black women are awesome disciplinarians. Do we all have room to grow, including white women, Indian women, Asian women, Hispanic women? Absolutely. But I think Black women, we have a way of loving tough love, and we have a way of loving unconditionally.
All right.
Well, Georgia, thank you very much. By the time I see you again, I'll be somewhere else, probably in Kansas.
No, it's exciting, and safe travels, and I hope the move goes smoothly, and take lots of pictures with your mama. And so I'll see you guys in a few weeks, but everybody be safe, get out there, enjoy the weather before the mosquitoes get out.
Woo.
I know. So y'all take care. It's always a pleasure. I enjoy doing these.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Miss Jordan.
You want to stay on, Ronan? I got to take care of some business behind the
I'm
scenes.
going to be on for a little while. Well, I'll keep it up to the 2 hour. We had 2 hours. I'm going to go ahead and go until at least 10 o'clock. And we'll see how it goes.
All right, brothers. I got some family things I got to take care of. I'll talk to y'all soon. See you on tomorrow's channel.
Yep. We got live tomorrow. Lions Den should be a lively one. Again, we are in an open panel. You're more than welcome to hit the link at the top of my chat. And then if you aren't subscribed to Fearless's channel, please go subscribe. I think Uncle Guns dropped it in the chat. Fearless, drop your other channel in the chat too, because there's some inspirational words on your other channel some of these brothers need to listen to.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So
check me
what's
out.
going on, Strictly Travels? My brother pulled up. We were on his channel this morning. Y'all need to go check out his channel from this morning's discussion. It was a pretty good discussion that we had this morning on relationships abroad and the mentality of that. And then we got into some financial things. And the brother's a very successful businessman in his own right and an international travel. What's going on, brother?
Question for you. So, talking about your Philippines travel, where's the first location that you go into when you're in the Philippines? Do you come into Manila or?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to land in Manila, stay either in BGC or Makati. Okay. I haven't decided where for at least a week or so. Yeah. I want to acclimate a little bit because I know a lot of people get sick initially when they get to the Philippines.
Yeah.
You're dealing with different bacteria in the air and different things like that. So it ain't going to be 100% smooth sailing. It just depends on my ability to adapt to whatever I got to breathe in there. And then I'm also getting in with the VA there too.
Yeah, that's
so I need to go check in. Yeah, I need to go check in with them, figure out my way around to get into their system. I'm going with the F&P letter, and also there's another letter you can get too from your doctor, even while you're traveling in the states that you should have with you as a veteran. So I'm getting that letter typed out right now to get forwarded to me. So yeah, I'm going to be in Manila for at least a week. A week. You know how the VA system is and everything.
You should reach out to like Black Filipino and try to do.
Yeah. If I'm in town long enough to where we can set that up, and I know he just moved into some type of a condo situation there. I know who Black Filipino is. I haven't really reached out to him aside for a couple comments in one of his lives or so.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind talking to a few of those guys. I follow, oh my God, at least 10 or 15 guys that are there, boots on the ground, from white people to black guys in the Philippines. Hassan is another guy. He has a very popular YouTube channel, over 600,000 followers. He's married to a Filipino with 2 children, and then of course, Filipino or Gio in the Philippines. It's me. He's a Marine that used to be a cop in Chicago, married to a Filipino. He has a whole thing where he built a house there and they're thriving. So I have a lot of resources when it comes to knowing what's going on there, aside for my girl and other things. So I'm looking forward to meeting some of those guys. And maybe doing some collabs with them. I definitely am going to be in the Manila area for at least a week. It's no sense of running out into the province without making sure your root base is straight for resources. One of your resources is your health. You want to make sure you're established with whatever your healthcare provider is. By the way, I have links in my chat or in my bio where if you got one, a concierge service, and what it does is, doesn't matter what country you're in, they'll have a medical expert that actually can communicate in that language for you if you wind up having to go to a hospital, and it links in with your health insurance that you have for international travel. So they know what you can and cannot use at those hospitals, and they'll link that back to your insurance company to go ahead and help you with your paperwork. So I have a lot of different links in my chat. I'm also linked in with United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, Alaskan Airlines. I have affiliate links for those. If you guys want discounts on flights, I don't play around when it comes to marketing and different things. Like once I start getting in the mood to travel, the things you see on my live, you'll be able to buy. The things you see me wear, the product I use, anything you see, there'll be a link in the chat or in the description by the end of the video, where if you like it, you can buy.
Man, I'm excited.
So I do a lot of marketing, and I do a lot of marketing in the background too. But for a request that somebody's asking, real quick, hold on.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if this was real, and I think that was American Live. I guess you don't think I know how to build rifles. As you can see, it is not loaded. Okay. Just so you know, but this is a real rifle. I built it from scratch during the pandemic, and I built it in order to hunt elk. And just so you can hear the click, that was a click. So yeah, it's an operational real rifle.
How do you feel about moving over there and not having access to firearms?
If I didn't know how to fight, I would care. But I know how to fight, so I'm not worried about that. And like I said, at my size, bruh, ain't no normal Filipino walking up to me to start a problem. I told y'all this. I am not somebody that's non-imposing in any environment I go to. So nobody's gonna walk up to me and look like I'm just a pushover for you to just randomly just pop off with me.
Yeah.
But isn't that like a double-edged sword though? Because at the same time, it's like, okay, what if somebody instigates with you? You beat their ass.
I'm the dude that walks in the club and the bouncers are looking at me to size me up, and all I'm doing is dapping them up and saying, you ain't got a problem with me, and if you need me, I'll help you. But they look at me the minute I walk through a club.
Okay.
The minute I walk in the door, they're like, yeah, you gonna be a problem? Nah, man, I'm good. So I'm not worried about that. I kind of blend in. I'm just a big dude, but even when I used to go to the Philippines a lot, the people are super friendly towards me. The old ladies are talking Tagalog to me, so I just look forward to the experience, like Drew was saying, and seeing where it goes.
There's no way you can convince me you blend in. I mean, dude, the average Filipino is like 5'2", 5'3". You're 6'2". Come on.
The funny thing is, my girl is only 4'9". So if you saw
How
us
tall?
together, she's only 4'9", bro.
Oh wow.
She's tiny. Yeah.
That's what we call
That's
fun size.
the spinner size, as we used to say in cheerleading. You know, you can spin them around any which way you want. Yeah, I already know they bake like crazy. I'm not worried about that, Paul. I know you're out there right now, Paul. Where you at? What part? Why would I hit up Tom Young LaChon? I don't associate with people like that. We don't even come from the same environment. You got me.
I don't even know who that is.
I don't do that. I don't play YouTube games like that.
Is he kind of like a Jay Rello or something? I don't know who he is.
Yeah, he is. He has a YouTube following where he's had a couple channels, and you know, he's not even on my radar, and I'm not on his radar. So I don't care to just check in with random ass people that I don't associate with in real life. That was one of the things I was telling Strictly, and we were talking about it. When you talk about languages and understanding, even in our culture, everybody grows up differently. I don't care if you grew up in the hood, you didn't grow up in the hood, you grew up in a middle class family, upper middle class family. Just because you black don't mean we all have the same goddamn experiences. Don't mean we all follow the same people and go around in anybody's circle. You know, and I don't have to give you any kind of respect because you black.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Checking in with somebody like they the king of fuck. I don't check in with people in this fucking town. Why the fuck would I check in with anybody else worldwide? Who the fuck started that shit or thought that shit was even cool?
Man, they've been doing that shit.
I don't play those fucking games.
They've been saying that for years. So yeah, you got to check in with so and so, and you know, black people got to hang out. You know, and it's like I think of myself like here, for example. I'm you know, not to speak to anybody, but the thing is that I don't even like going to a black-owned club. You know, and there's a reason for that.
But like I said, we all grow up in different ways.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Can I associate with people in the hood? Yeah. Can I hang out in the hood? Yeah, absolutely. But I ain't a hood dude. Do I talk like a hood dude? No, I don't talk like a hood dude.
No,
so
I don't either.
I worry about what people do in that environment. I don't.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey,
my
so
background's totally different.
Let me ask you two a question, since we all veterans on this panel. If you would have done what Hexef had done with the signal chat, what do you think would have happened to you?
Say that again.
We'd be in jail.
If what?
We'd be in jail.
The SecDef did.
What did he do? What did he or she do? Because I don't even know who the fuck it is anymore.
Oh, Secretary
Hexef. But was it him? Was he the one that added the reporter to the group chat? I thought it was somebody else.
The reporter, but he's the one who gave out the classified.
Oh, you're talking about the bombing run for Yemen that was sent out, and somebody in the supposedly got wind of it before it actually was executed.
Well, they included someone in the conversation who was not part of the conversation.
Which
a reporter.
And
a reporter
absolutely does not have the clearance in order to have that information early or the details of it. That should have been a security violation, and anybody associated to it should be pulled in for interview.
Yeah. We'd all be in jail right now.
And again, that's the difference between military and government. We're always under the gun. They can get away with bloody murder. For us, it's NJP or even worse, and we're already accused of being guilty until we can prove our innocence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember people getting security violations for a lot less. One guy, when I was in Cuba, went to the New York Times website, you know, on a government system. You know, he was doing his job. You know, he was an analyst. So his job is to, you know, do research, you know, pull things from newspapers and things. This guy went to the New York Times and they gave him a security violation. I mean, it embarrassed the guy, everything. I mean, personally, I was like, man, that's not a security violation. He just went to the New York Times, but I mean, he was reprimanded, chastised, put out on blast. I mean, it was embarrassing. And now here you got, somebody. I didn't know it was Hexeth. I thought it was somebody else. But
I mean,
adding
I
a
don't know when
reporter,
it changed. I don't know when it changed, but most government or military guys aren't even allowed to talk to the press without clearance about anything.
Well, the SecDef is a former Army soldier, so
reservists.
still Army.
Yeah.
But
I don't know about that situation, Paul Milner. What you got to give me the details. Do you guys know about what Paul Milner's saying here? Hold on, I'll highlight it.
Duarte, the former president of the Philippines, who turned them like I think he was
Oh,
in The Hague.
my girl is complaining about that shit. She's saying it's so corrupt right now. Everything that's going on. You know, they increased the police presence in a lot of different places, and the police are micromanaging a lot of things. Things that they would normally look past, like maybe a registration or something, they're hitting people up.
No. Duarte is the former president who's in The Hague now.
Right.
Yeah. War
but
crimes.
But
or not war
presidents
crimes.
never go. I mean, there's a lot of presidents that are like I think Bibi Netanyahu's supposed to be arrested too, but you never turn over your former president, to The Hague.
Paul, you got to understand, I'm getting ready to go to a country where I'm not able or at liberty to actually comment about a lot of the things that go on in that country. So I got to let them do their thing, and I can't really comment on what they're doing in that country because I could be denied entry.
Yep, it's not. You don't have the same rights like you do here.
So, and that's one country that they don't like you to comment about their government or anything if you're not a citizen.
Interesting. Yeah.
So,
and I can't, like I said, man, I'm
but I told my girl that she goes, don't worry, I'll make all the comments. I said, yeah, you can, but I can't.
And which island is your
She's on the main island of Luzon, but she's in central.
Luzon.
Yeah, she's in north central Luzon up in the mountains.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. The nice thing is her city actually has an airport. So I can jump from Cebu right into her town, no problem.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Strictly, I already know, brother. He said the same thing. Do not get involved in politics in foreign countries.
Oh, of course. Of course. But yeah, that's man. And so when you go to her area, I guess you guys probably talk about this more. So are you looking to rent a house or?
Yeah, I'm going to rent a house. I told her the budget's $35K a month in pesos. So I need at least 3 bedrooms, AC'd out, you know, American amenities if they have them all there.
35,000 in pesos is how much?
About $600-700.
Okay.
But for them, that's a big ass house.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of money. It's definitely a lot of money for the average Filipino.
Yeah, they barely make I'd say 15 to 20,000 a month.
So, are you going to give the girl the money to buy the house for you, or because I know in the Philippines you can't own land?
It's a rental.
Rental.
Oh, rental. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm buying nothing until we know what's up.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And also, too, like you want to see that place before you even put money down in it anyway. You want to go up there, stay in a hotel or whatever for a few days.
I mean, her region is known for rice and some other things. Their region grows rice, like I think you would see in Vietnam, where they have the tariff and all the rice planted on different tariffs, and they're all flattened out, going all the way up the hill and back down the hill. So she lives in a very nice, quiet area. She's a country girl by Filipino nature, by Texas nature. I mean, she fucks with, cows, the pigs, the chickens, to all that shit. So she's a healthy girl. Y'all see, the ones that seen her. Just say that.
Yeah, I seen her. You did like a little live shot of her.
Right. So, I'm just looking forward to the experience. The family's excited about me coming out there.
Okay.
I sent some stuff ahead of time, so it'll get there by the time I get there.
Oh yeah, that's a good question, man. How is it sending stuff out there? Was it pretty expensive? Like you could.
Well,
are you?
Here's the thing. They have and it was funny that I found this company. The same company that I used to ship was actually formed in her city, and the owner is from her town and are part of her people. Speak the same dialect as her, because there's 270 different dialects of Philippine language besides for English and Tagalog, which is the national language. You got Visayan, Ilocano, and all these other dialects. Well, the company I use is called Forex, and the way they ship, I shipped the box maybe a year ago, and it was $165 for a small box. You couldn't put half the shit you thought you can, candy, stuff like that you normally would think you can ship. You can't ship there through regular means. The box I got, 4 times as big. I could stuff the shit out of it. Weight didn't matter, and was a flat rate of $110. And you can put anything in that box that's legal.
And
nobody's
flat
going to
rate of
search it.
$110.
$110 from your doorstep, meaning they will come pick it up. They came and picked it up from my house, gave me the slip, and nobody will touch it. It'll go in a shipping container. It'll come out the shipping container. They'll deliver it directly to her address. The only other people that will touch it will be her and the shippers.
So does U.S. mail make it out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the snail mail will make it out there. Definitely. It's just the old traditional way. But, shipping stuff, there's no weight limit in those boxes. Whatever you can get in that box, as long as 2 people can pick it up, it's good. I just duct tape the shit out of it. And then they say they actually put shipping straps around it too, so it doesn't come apart. So they actually strap it up with those big bands that kind of like glue together after you strap them up. So they'll strap those up so the box doesn't come apart, even with the duct tape.
So have you already shipped things out there? Like, for
I
example,
shipped
like
out a portable generator with a solar panel that recharges it.
Well, also too, I'm looking at like clothing things too.
I shipped out some clothes. But what I'm gonna do is I got a whole bunch of vacuum seal bags for clothing, so you can suck the air out of clothing and make it a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of compressed vacuum seal bags from medium to large, and I plan on compressing a lot of that stuff so it can fit in the suitcase.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
I
cool
shipped a lot of stuff that I could wear. I sent some stuff that I can get from her house once I get there.
Yeah.
For me, I wanted a portable generator, because they do have a lot of brownouts.
Yeah. The cool thing is that, if it ever came down to needing something or trying to get just a little taste of America, you can always fly over to Guam.
You can fly to Guam, correct. Or you can go to Korea, has a base.
Yeah.
There's only so many places you can't. I mean, that's the nice thing. Once you get out of America, which is so, secluded, it's so much easier to travel so many different places, especially in the Philippines. Then I'm under a different IP address. That means my flights are way cheaper than buying them from America. So I'm catching flights for $100, $200, which is nothing, when I want to go somewhere. She has a passport, so we can jump around until we're ready to do whatever with a visa.
Oh, that's cool. She's got a passport? All right.
Yeah. Well, I made her get one. Because I wasn't going to just sit around. What the fuck?
Yeah,
to sit
y'all
around.
gotta do some traveling around travel around the Philippines.
All the places you got, 700 islands and some beautiful ass oceans. We gonna move around. Best believe. I ain't sitting still just to be
now,
there.
Are just another question for you. So, are you gonna be if you guys are gonna be traveling a lot? And I'm assuming that she works. So, are you gonna basically?
She does not work.
Oh, so she doesn't work. Okay.
She does her own thing. Like I said, she's an artist. She does. She runs a farm, so she grows her own vegetables, stuff like that they resell, animals, eggs. She does modification on clothes. She'll take a whole bunch of clothes that you would consider old and modify them and resell them online. So she's a fitness instructor. She sells products for fitness, from waist trainers to different. This chick is on about her business.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's not something I have to tell her to do. She does this shit way before I even met her.
Oh, that's good, man.
She plays the piano. She has artwork hanging in their local gallery. Does not play. She's very active. You know how they say idle hands is the devil play toy. She is not idle. She stays busy.
Now what about? I know you mentioned the VA. Now, do they have like a full-on hospital, or is it just?
Well, they have a large clinic out there. You could say a little mini hospital. You know how the clinics are now. And from what I know, it's not a full-blown hospital, but a lot of the clinics have their own X-ray machines and different things like that. And then you have community care anyway. So even if they don't have it, you get referred right out to whatever you want to.
Yeah, you have to do foreign military something or foreign I remember Chocolate Man did a video about it, like healthcare. You had to go to
Yeah,
this website.
FMP. Yeah, you have
Yeah,
different
FMP.
things like FMP that you need to make sure you're registered for.
Yeah.
So that you can utilize your military coverage, TRICARE overseas. Paul Milner, yeah, I know the age difference could be a factor if we didn't have a lot of things in common. And like I said, I always keep things open. That's why I said until I get to associate with her in person and see how the personalities blend, then I'll make that determination. That's why ain't nothing set in stone.
Yeah, because you might get out there, y'all might not
We
match
might not
that
have
well.
exactly. You just
And
don't know
then-
until you're in that person's presence.
Yeah,
you can
you get
vibe
it.
all day on the phone. You can lust after somebody because of their looks, but when you actually in front of them is when it's actually going to actually work out or it's not. You know, so I don't have my hopes up for anything besides enjoying myself and travel. I have plans upon plans. So if one thing falls through, it's not like I can't rotate and function somewhere else in a different situation. I even have an American chick that's still in the Marine Corps that's stationed in Korea. You know, so if one option doesn't work, there's all kind of options all over the place, and there's plenty of girls in the Philippines beside that one.
Oh, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be ready
Oh,
to
yeah.
replace. They'll be ready to step
Yeah. Shit, you probably got a basketball team down there ready to step in.
That's never a concern for me. It's more about my comfort level and the way I live. That's why I'm not even. I don't care that I would spend $35K on renting a property that's worth its weight when it comes to my comfort. You know, I'm still bagging a shit ton of money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know that living there. Because Paul's lived out there, so I already know what he's talking about. And I know he's not like trolling, but 27 plus is good for me. That's good.
Yeah.
You know, as long as she has things in common for you, that's the whole thing. I don't know how old you are, Paul, but it just depends on commonality and mindset. She can be younger than you, but have the right mindset where you guys agree on so many different things. So it just depends on your conversation.
Yeah.
No, I've been an artist. That's my background is art, architecture, things like that. I played music. So we have a lot of things in common to where it's not where we have a problem with communication.
Mm-hmm.
Can you sing?
I used to be able to.
Oh,
I actually used to perform.
Yeah,
How do you think I'm such a good salesman?
Hey man, I'm just wondering because I know you're
I'm
gonna
just
have to
saying.
you got to get your karaoke.
Oh yeah, I know about
game
the
up.
karaoke game. Yeah, I told her I told her there's going to be some set songs that me and her have to sing as a duet. You get what I'm saying? So I said we're gonna have to practice some songs where we sing it as a duet. That way we can play off of each other's voices.
Yeah, that's what's up. But hey, brothers, I'm about to break out.
Yeah, I get that, Paul. The Philippines. You've been out there. Philippines Facebook is like almost a way of communication. They have family Facebook pages. So that's one thing about some cultures, man. That's their mode of communication. If it's not WhatsApp, it's Facebook and some other things. It's what they're doing on those pages and whether they're actually communicating with the other people or not. And that's like I said, once you're in that person's presence, you're going to see everything. You can lie only so long. The truth will come out when we're right in front of each other.
Hey man, I'm about to break out, but hey Ronan, man, I hope you do a whole live with you going to the Philippines and maybe you can.
Believe me, while I'm getting on the plane, while I'm in the airport, all that stuff is getting documented.
What I'm saying is make it a fundraiser.
Man, come on, stop. Ain't nobody doing all that.
Fundraiser.
Ain't nobody kicking me money. I ain't broke like Jay Willow.
Ronan goes to the Philippines.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to send money, hey, my Cash App is always available. All that stuff's available. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not refusing money, but at the same time, I'm not putting on a fundraiser.
I know, brother.
I appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciate everything everybody gives. Darnell supports all the time, so I appreciate that too. But at the end of the day, it's just prepping and planning and execution. I can't say I'm not anxious because this is the first time I'm living overseas for 100% of my time, and I'm 57 years old. There's no security with a roof over my head and different things like that. I'm literally packing up everything into a storage unit. I'm putting my car in storage, and I'm out. Be living out of a suitcase. That's an uncomfortable situation for a lot of folks.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing it for a couple of years, living out of a suitcase and tent, no running water. Had to go to like a shower trailer and all that.
Wait, I'm not going to that extreme, Darnell. I'm not homeless or anything. I'm just saying I'm living in a whole other country without the security of knowing, hey, I'm coming back to a house or this, that, and the other thing. I'm not putting out those expenses right now. The house, yeah.
I was just bringing up the fact that at the same time, even though you don't have all the niceties of the stuff of the States, you will have you'll have a sense of peace. Things feel simple.
There is the trade-off. That's the trade-off, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to, that trade-off.
Yeah.
But it comes with you having to give up your comfort. Believe me, I built my house, and even if it's not a house, I modify the shit out of anything I live in, bro. I make it mine. Man cave, lights everywhere, reflective lights, all kind of stuff in my house. So you're living in somebody else's environment. Get a vasectomy. Why? I don't mind having more kids, man. I will repopulate this planet. The quickest way to get rid of racism? Mix. I'm okay with that.
That's what the white folks fear the most, right there.
Exactly. So, all right, guys. I don't know if anybody has anything, but we're at 10 o'clock, 10:06 actually, and I still got more packing to do. I got a guy coming to get the couch tomorrow. I sold that. Selling my pub table. That minimizes my space for my storage unit.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is square, so I can just put it together like fucking Tetris.
And one other suggestion I give to you, man, before you go, videotape one of your conversations for yourself with your mom, man. That's a good thing, hearing her voice and stuff when you're over there. Those conversations. Sometimes we keep in the memory, but if you put it on video for yourself, those things are actually motivational. And I always think that people back here love and care for you and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And believe me, I'll do some bonding with her before I leave. And
yeah, no doubt.
She's actually holding on with my dog too, so that's a good thing. So she'll have company. She likes the dogs I have. I've had that dog since she was a baby. So they've bonded themselves. So I'll be spending time with her. Like I said, she just turned 81 on March 18th. So I was planning on spending some time with her before I left the country anyway. All right, fellas, no more questions. I'm up out of here. I appreciate you guys. Join us tomorrow night for the live interview with I Am Neo channel. And the 6-year experience of being in Colombia and finally getting got. And we'll go through the story that he has to share, and we'll open up the panel for you guys to ask questions on how he got put in this situation after supposedly being a 6-year veteran of being in Colombia and a polyamorous relationship at that. He has multiple girls. So that's something like your goal there, Darnell.
Yeah. I mean, you still got to be careful and, choose wisely. But because I think you said he had 6 or something like that.
No, I think he only had 2. I think he only had 2, but he said he was interviewing this chick for a business that he was getting ready to start up, and she was going to be an employee. But the story goes that she kept on changing it to where he had to change the venue from where he was going to interview her at to like a coffee shop at first, and then it got put off. And then, a lot of these secure location condos have a meeting area. So he allowed her to come there. And then, again, it got canceled to where he had to push it up because he couldn't hold the room any longer to just meeting her in his house. And that's where the mistake lies. You let her in your property, one.
Yeah.
Then you let her in your personal living area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. That sounds sus to me. I mean, the whole thing, you're talking about hiring. That's more than just trying to hire somebody. Okay,
Well,
yeah,
I
you
mean,
was trying to.
I can get where it can be an inconvenient thing, and I'm going to let him tell his story tomorrow, and then you guys, if you want to pull his story apart, by all means, he'll be here tomorrow for you guys to do it. You know,
All
there's
right,
some things you can question and say, I don't know about that. That sounds a little shaky. I don't sound necessarily right.
I'll definitely be taking notes.
All right, you guys. You guys have a good night, and I'm going to go ahead and close off the screen here in a second. Peace out.
I know I've been quiet for a minute, I've been grinding, still in it, I've been counting these digits, excuse me. I know I've been quiet for a minute, but I'm back on my business. If you see me, don't trip, just excuse me. Wrong if I do, wrong if I don't. That's why I do me no matter what, so excuse me. Lie if I do, lie if I don't. The proof is in the story, take a seat and excuse me. The crash came when the cash came, spend it before you get it like those rookies all on draft day. For the love like it's match game, hit the ground running, really do it for my last name. They act different when the facts change. I'm not with the tip for tag games. In my own league I don't chase game. In my own league I don't hang with lanes. I know I've been quiet for a minute, I've been grinding, still in it, I've been counting these digits, excuse me. I know I've been quiet for a minute, but I'm back on my business. If you see me, don't trip, just excuse me. Wrong if I do, wrong if I don't. That's why I do me no matter what, so excuse me. Lie if I do, lie if I don't. The proof is in the story, take a seat and excuse me. Now how could that be? Talking about who can be talking about me. Feeling like Stretch where I got all this reach. Feeling too blessed when I step on these beats.